What is going on, guys? Welcome to Outside the Brand. I'm your host, Phil. Thank you so much for joining us here on the channel. It's an hour after NXT. I'll admit it. I don't really think anybody watched NXT besides the two people that are below us right here. But yeah, we're here. We're not even going to be talking about NXT. We got a little bit of a special guest right next to me, and we're just going to be having some fun, talking about some wrestling, having a good time as always. And yeah, so why don't you introduce yourself, do any kind of plugging that you have to, and we can get started, my man. It's going to be a fun time tonight.
Yeah. So basically, my TikTok is going to be. It's actually in the description. It's also right here. AnthonyMurray1. Do all kinds of different wrestling content. I'm very series driven. So right now I'm doing like a Thanksgiving series, like different Thanksgiving moments. I just got done doing a Halloween one with like different characters and stables and whatnot. If you're not a fan of Hulk Hogan and you like to see a lot of his bullshit lives, come and check that out too. That one is definitely a popular series on my channel, but that I also go on like different types of rants about different stuff in wrestling. So yeah, it links down in the below.
Awesome, man. I mean, you guys already know the two people at the bottom, but I guess they can do their intros too. I mean, why not? Who the heck are you guys?
Come on, Phil.
You know I love y'all. Come on. You know I love y'all. Damn.
It's crazy.
Just messing around with you guys. But really, what's going on, guys? How's life and what's been going on?
What's up, guys? Nate the Great here.
I want to say thank you to our new special guest, man.
Go ahead, Loft. Go ahead. You good?
Oh, shit. You on? Go ahead.
Oh, snap. My bad. Okay. Yeah, Nate the Great here. You know what I'm saying? Life is all right now. I don't know if I want to talk about NXT or not. NXT was pretty okay. And yeah, link in the description for the TikTok. And yeah, glad to have our special guest here, Mr. Anthony. Glad to have you here and ready to talk wrestling with you guys. So go ahead, Loft.
All right, yo. I want to say thank you to my man Anthony for coming on here. I'm always appreciative of people who give us a shot when they want to be a guest on OTB, and I love it. I love Phil doing the connections on TikTok, being the best.
Don't think me. That was Bash that got me in the head. So.
I was going to say that, but yeah, man. NXT was weird. NXT was weird like always. Get that over with. Get that bullshit over with.
Listen, guys, we're not even really going to be talking about that show because it seemed really weird. We got Cameron Grimes with no hair now because he just cuts it off after a poker game. And yeah, so that's just not even worth our time. But Rich is here. We're going to be talking about some good old professional wrestling, whether that is WWE, whether that is, yeah, Bash, yeah, now and yeah,
shut up, man. Shut up.
And then he does our Wolfpack side, But yeah, no, we're going to be just talking about some good old professional wrestling, whether that's WWE, whether that's AEW, whether that's pretty much anything that we have that we can really kind of think of, honestly. But yeah, if you guys don't already, go follow everybody that's in the description right now. I left our special guest link down in the description for you guys to go check him out. He does actually do some really good content. And so you got that going for you. You got Loft and Bash's remix of MFN Right. That link is also down in the description. It's a very good listen. And continue to support the channel in any way that you can with the like button, with the subscribe button, and turning on the bell for all notifications. That way you never miss when we go live. Tomorrow we will be going live for the review of AEW Dynamite, so you guys won't want to check that out. you guys will want to check that out. And yesterday we did, Off and I did Monday Night Raw in it was Raw. So there you go. But yeah, man, it's a good time to get this started, and yeah. So what's going on? What you guys want to talk about first? What's on the brain? What you been thinking of for professional wrestling? Anybody can start.
Talk about Sin Cara. Let's talk about Sin Cara.
Sin Cara. Oh man.
Yeah.
He
God,
WWE, he was kind of the Botch King, but
yeah, I don't know what to talk about. Sin Cara just popped in my head. I'm sorry.
Sin Cara. Okay.
Yo.
Well,
I'll start. I guess we can start with how WWE been quote unquote building up Survivor Series.
Yeah, that's non-existent. But and well, I mean, what's your real thoughts on that? Because there has been some really questionable things when it came to Survivor Series this year. I mean, they announced the Survivor Series teams on Twitter 2 weeks ago, which was their first mistake. And then they just legitimately said, hey, you know what? Fuck you, Dominic. Fuck you, Ray. You're off the team. And so is Aaliyah. So it's a very strange situation. I don't know what the heck's going on.
Yeah, so I think I remember saying this earlier, Phil, about that. Like, I didn't have a problem with them announcing, just because they kind of set it up like the general manager, authority figures kind of picking the teams. Like, that's fine. But I kind of thought it was like, and it made sense like in a storyline perspective for Dominic, because, well, for one, it did make sense in this aspect of like, you picked the teams and then all of a sudden you don't want him anymore because he's not a champion. But then you go and you pick like Austin Theory to replace Ray. And I'm just like, so you disregarded your one excuse for the other excuse. Like, it made no sense. Like, picking them is fine, but like when you give a reason for why you shouldn't pick this one and then you completely disregard your reason to pick another guy, I was like, all right, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. I'm looking at the chat right now, and Real One C says, out of everybody, Loft picks Sin Cara. But hey, I mean, if you wanted to talk about the Botch King, go on ahead.
Original over the one that was botching a lot, though, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they obviously, to me, picking the teams on Twitter just made absolutely no sense. But yeah, this entire Survivor, well, I can't even say this entire Survivor Series, Bill, because really, what else has there really been? The champions never even really spoke of each other until legitimately yesterday when Big E talked about Roman. I don't even think Damian Priest and Shinsuke Nakamura even met each other backstage before. So that's just, I think they might actually meet each other for the very first time ever backstage at Survivor Series this coming Sunday.
I was about to say, like, out of all the matches that we heard for Survivor Series, that is one match that I'm looking forward to. Damian Priest and Shinsuke. I believe that's going to be a very good match. Like,
but where has Damian Priest been?
I don't know.
Where has he been? He's not been on Raw. So
last time we seen him, he snapped on T-Bar.
He snapped on T-Bar.
Yeah, and his whole thing with that has been kind of weird because like now he's kind of seeming more heelish, especially with like
he is a heel.
people.
That's what they did.
Yeah,
they turned him heel that day.
Which makes sense, especially like for Survivor Series because Shinsuke's kind of a face anyway, so it makes sense from that kind of aspect. But like, yeah, I know I was kind of wondering. I'm like, because I watch Raw for the most part. That's one of the only shows I've been watching right now, unfortunately. And yeah, I was kind of wondering, like, where the hell has he been? Like, he's one of your champions, and I haven't seen him at all. But yeah. That one's kind of, The one match that I'm excited for, which even though we've probably seen the match a few times, and it wasn't even WWE doing it, is Becky and Charlotte. They built up a little bit with that title exchange, but like their actual real life like heat towards each other is like the only reason why I'm so anticipated for this match, because I don't see them gelling together.
Here's the thing, and I'm going to pick everybody's brain on this. They've been showing a lot of old Survivor Series like vignettes and like video packages over the course of the last few weeks. More recently, they did one on the Montreal Screwjob. I don't see Becky losing. And I definitely, Charlotte never wants to lose. I don't see anybody really losing that match. I think something's going to go down. Like I don't think the Montreal Screwjob is happening at Survivor Series this year. Don't get me wrong. But something is going to happen to where none of these women are going to lose, because honestly, they can't. And B, I just don't think with their kind of heat that they have right now, they won't want to lose to the other.
Mm-hmm.
So something's going to happen. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, I would tend to agree. I definitely think that neither one is going to want to lose. They are pretty much hating each other at this point. And I'm surprised that they're even willing to work a match with each other. But I definitely think that kind of the problem with WWE right now, too, with this, they kind of book themselves into corners where you can't have either one of them looking weak. So yeah, I think it's going to end up in probably like a no contest or like a DQ or a count out, depending on what the rules are, obviously. But
it's just going to be a normal one-on-one match, like they always are. It's just champion versus champion, and
yeah. So I think it'll probably just end in like a schmoz, like with neither one of them. If anything, one of them will probably lose by like DQ or like count out or something like that. I don't see either one of them like actually getting to a decisive finish.
I mean, we got Big E versus Roman, which should be that match should be great. But then again, it's champion versus champion. Big E should not be losing. And obviously, with the way that Roman is right now, he should not be losing either. So there you go. You're just booking yourself in another corner. Pretty much anything with these champion versus champion matches, none of these guys can lose. But then again, you have champions pinned every week on SmackDown and Raw anyway. And I don't like it. I've always never liked it. So it's just, it's weird.
Like, I'm already predicting the Damian Priest Shinsuke match of how it's going to end. It's going to probably end with like Rick trying to get interfere or something, and Damian probably losing that way, or one of them is going to lose because of Rick. Like, I can already kind of see it. So it's not even going to be like a clean finish. And that's the problem, is like all these guys are needing to look strong and you're putting them in matches together. So you're going to have all these bullshit finishes just because you're wanting to make everybody look strong and not lose to one another.
I think we might actually see Randy doing something to Riddle, not to Riddle at Survivor Series, because literally yesterday on Monday Night Raw, he looked legitimately pissed at Riddle. So I wanted the turn to happen at Crown Jewel because just the way things were going at that point. But I would not be shocked one single bit if something happens between Randy and Riddle, even though it's not for the championships. I think something's happening. There are a lot of things in these kind of matches where like either something huge is going to happen or it's just going to be a champion losing and we're just not going to like it. I don't know. I don't even know. Locke, you've been a little quiet. What's been going on, my man? How are you? Are you just not that interesting in Survivor Series?
I'm listening.
Yeah.
No, I'm listening just because I'm terrified of how this show's going to end up, because none of these matches I feel like should be happening. Like the Ian Roman match, we all know Roman's probably going to win that, even though E deserves some acknowledgement, no pun intended. Becky and Charlotte, they're probably just gonna rip each other's hair out, which could be good or bad. We don't know how that shit's gonna go. Shinsuke and Damien, that'll be what it is. RK Bro and the Usos, I do not care. I'm annoyed with the Usos and I'm annoyed with RK Bro. So I feel like the match I'm more interested in is the freaking elimination tag match, and I didn't even think I would say that at this point. But like all the other matches, either have a finish that we know is going to happen, or they're going to end like in double disqualification, probably like the Becky and Charlotte match. Because I like you all said, there's no good way to end that match, because I can't imagine anyone back there when they're writing the finish for this match to say, "Oh, yeah, I'll lose to Becky. Oh, I'll lose to Charlotte." They're not going to do that. So it's just gonna, it's either gonna go really bad or really, really bad. And I don't know. This is gonna be one of the weirdest pay-per-views we've seen in a while, I feel like.
And the thing is, there's only 6 matches on the card. There really is. It's only the 4 champion versus champion matches, and then the 2 Raw versus SmackDown teams. That's it. That's it. Unless some kind of dramatic things happen on SmackDown to where, oh my God, literally everybody dies and we're going to have to figure out some other new 5-on-5 teams. Nothing's happening on that show on Friday. So that's what we got. And that's right, Trail Mill. Hardy is nowhere to be found. Hardy is nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
So, if it looks like you're not painting your face for Survivor Series. But yeah.
Wait, what do you mean?
What do you mean? I don't think Hardy's on the show.
You want a match against Sandy, didn't
No, Hardy is on the Elimination Chamber.
Oh, he's
Elimination match.
He's in the 5-on-5, is he? Okay. Yeah. I was like, wait.
Yeah.
Well,
don't do that, Phil. You scared me. Don't do that, Phil.
No, I didn't know. Well, here's the thing.
I was like, he's breaking news.
These Survivor Series teams mean absolutely nothing, so I didn't know if Hardy was on there or not. So,
yeah,
I mean, lose it.
I mean, we talked about this before the live even started, but like, there's no reason to even have this pay-per-view. Like originally, this whole pay-per-view was supposed to be Survivor Series elimination teams. Like we look back at like the first couple of ones, and even going into like the 2000s, like that's the main part of it. And like you can have a championship match here and there. Like I don't have a problem with that. But over the last few years, it started to just become a whole brand supremacy thing, which is normally fine. But like the problem with this one, and this is what I think they need to stop doing, they need to have the draft after Survivor Series going into the new year.
I feel like they need to do the draft after WrestleMania.
I mean, that would work
you can go there too. You can do it after Survivor Series too.
Because the problem that I have is like literally every single person that's on these teams was on the previous show like just a few weeks ago. So you're not. It's just so weird to me that like they're fighting for brand supremacy, and it's like they weren't even on the brand like this past year.
They don't have any loyalty to the brand that they're on now.
So the
because they were on the other show for the majority of the year.
So like the whole gimmick of the pay-per-view makes no fucking sense. But then again, they've been doing that with a lot of their pay-per-views anyway.
I am so glad you brought that up because, Nate, you guys know I've been saying that for weeks. Even before Survivor Series was even a thing. Nobody's going to have any kind of loyalty. I'm glad somebody else figured that out.
There's no point in doing it. It's like they kept trying it when they had Survivor Series and bragging rights in the same year. Yeah. It's like, why are we having 2 brand supremacy shows and they both happened at 2 separate times of the year? It's like,
it was bragging rights, which was Survivor Series, and Survivor Series, the actual pay-per-view, happened months later.
That was the beginning of the end, I feel like. Yeah. That was a long time ago. I feel like that was the beginning of the end, and now it's just another show. This feels like a freaking house show. It doesn't even feel like Survivor Series anymore.
Yeah, which is really sad because this used to be like the second biggest show of the year besides WrestleMania. And it's like, I think we're going into like more than 30 years at this point. And I'm like, there's no reason to have this show anymore if you're just going to do brand supremacy stuff. I mean, it's just it's sad to see how it's kind of gone over the last like few years.
I couldn't agree with you more. We are. I want to actually check this out. This is going to be the 35th annual Survivor Series.
So why not make it a bigger deal? I mean, to me, like 30, 35, 40, like you should have like bigger deals. And like I feel like the thing about it is they're promoting The Rock a lot this
I was
upcoming.
about to point
I
that
have a
out.
feeling he
Yes.
might show up just as like maybe a little promotional piece, because they're like they did with Undertaker last year, I believe. They're making like the 25 years of like The Rock and whatnot. So I know people have been wanting like Rock and Roman, so they might set something up there. And
That's what I was kind of going to bring up. But
that would give me a reason to like the show, probably.
I mean, if we're getting Rock and Roman at this year's WrestleMania, instead of Hollywood next year, I don't know, man. Like, a lot of people want to save Rock versus Roman at Hollywood, which is next year's WrestleMania, not this year's. But, well, this year meaning 22. But, like, and I understand a lot of people are saying that it doesn't need the championship because Rock and Roman it should just be that money match in itself. It doesn't even need the championship, which I kind of agree to some extent. But I've talked about this ad nauseum here on this show. Roman is not losing that championship until Roman's going to be the champion at WrestleMania. So I hope everybody's prepared. Well, if I know you don't like it, but I hope you're prepared for that because that's going to happen. Nate, I don't even know if you even really care about Roman at this point anymore. So I think he's kind of just accepting it. And I kind of feel like you at least know that Roman's going to have this title for a long time.
No, I definitely think he's going to be having this title for a long time. And what I'm really, really hoping, because they put a lot of effort into this run, I'm really hoping that whoever he drops the title to actually gets a decent run and gets a big push out of this. Because, and this is the sad thing, the WWE builds up characters and they build up this undefeated streak or they build up a title run and it just all goes to shit. You know, they did that with CM Punk. They've done that with Asuka. You know, they did that with Taker. Anytime they've built up a long story type thing, it doesn't always work out. So I'm really hoping that whoever gets this win over Roman for the title actually gets something of a push after.
And I've been saying it now. Josh says that Rock won't be here for a B at WrestleMania 38. Well, here's the thing. If he's not going to be there at 38, you better do it now because there's not going to be a lot of time for Rock to have one final match with Roman if that's what they really want to do. Like, Rock is doing his own thing in Hollywood. He has a very busy schedule, and you know what? I've come to accept it, but I've also just come to, I've always respected The Rock and in anything that he's done, even if it was in the wrestling business or it was just in him and his movies in Hollywood. But you're not going to have that much longer to do the match. So you either do it now or you just don't do it at all. We're just going to get disappointed again. So you got to do it now at some point. But yeah, what's up? Somebody just texted me. Oh, sorry. But yeah, and Josh, I mean, if he said he doesn't want to be at WrestleMania 38, well, wait, what WrestleMania is going to come up? 37, right?
Yeah, I believe.
37, right? I'm so confused now.
Yeah, no, it's WrestleMania 37. 38 is going to be in LA.
Okay. So wait a second. If we're doing if Rock wanted to do this at WrestleMania, it would have to have been at 38. But the thing is, apparently, he's not going to be there. So
Oh yeah, no. This past WrestleMania was 37.
Yeah.
38's going to be in Texas, and so 39.
Yeah, so people want it for WrestleMania 39, but again, like I said earlier, you're not going to have that much time. So you either have to do it at 38 or you're not going to do it at all, and we're going to be disappointed. But apparently, Rock doesn't want to be there at 38, so it's a very sticky situation. I want Rock and Roman so bad because, oh my gosh, who the heck is the real tribal chief? But it's a very shaky situation. But what else is there in WWE that we can talk about?
I was about to say,
I think you wanted to talk about the releases too, right?
Yes, the releases. We all know the 18 people that got released on November 4th, 2021. I could go over the list again, but I keep forgetting. I might actually have the notes still in my phone. Because I have to write them all down. Yes, I do. I have to write them all down in order to do my series that I'm going to be doing very soon. I actually had already released episode 1, but Scarlett Bordeaux, Frankie Monet, aka Taya Valkyrie, Ember Moon, Oni Lorcan, Hit Rose B-Fab, Jesse Kamea, Zeta Ramir, Trey Baxter, Katarina Cortez, Jeet Rama, Grand Metalik, and Lince Dorado. They asked for their releases, so they just granted them that. Karrion Kross, Nia Jax, Keith Lee, Harry Smith, who never even made a debut. He only had like 2 dark matches, and that was it. Mia Yim, and Eva Marie. So 2 of those 18 people actually asked for their release. One of them didn't even make their debut, and the rest were actually somewhat used. So what were your thoughts when you heard those 18 people get released, and what do you think is going to be the future for the majority of them? Because I hope and I pray that a majority of these people find work elsewhere.
go ahead, Anthony.
All right. I was just kind of looking over the list again. So looking over the list, I mean, I can definitely see, people like Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado probably. I feel like they're going to probably go back to like AAA, just like more the Mexico circuits, just maybe because they feel more comfortable there. I could see them going anywhere, but I feel like that's where they might go. People like Eva Marie, I could really give 2 shits about.
Thank you.
But like, here's the thing though, like, and this is what doesn't make sense to me. You bring her back in and she gets released less than a year later. Like, what was the whole point of bringing her in? Just to build up like a wrestler like Doudrop who really didn't need it. Like, I hated that storyline with her anyway. So it was like, It made no sense to bring her back in. Same thing with Harry Smith. Like, you were just getting ready to build up this guy, and I think he got drafted to like SmackDown, if I remember right. But like, still, like, what was
Harry
the point
Smith?
of
He never even made a debut. He didn't even get drafted.
Oh, did he not? Oh, okay.
He never even got drafted.
Well, still, like, I just don't get the point of even bringing him in if you weren't going to use him for anything besides a couple of dark matches. The ones that really got me though were people like Scarlett, Ember, Karrion, Keith, just because like you bring these guys and you're bringing them up to the main roster, like guys like Karrion and Keith, and you're putting these new packages on them, and you just, like, why build them up and make them a bigger deal and give them like a new character, like, with Keith, if you're just going to release them not too long ago,
right?
Like after that. And yeah, they said that it's more for budget cuts, but you had a big increase in revenue this quarter and whatnot. So like, why release them and say it's for that reason,
It's not budget cuts. And we've been saying that for as long as the time that has been with these releases. It's not budget cuts. Scarlett Bordeaux and Karrion Kross are magic together. Yet they separated them. They put Karrion Kross in a gladiator mask and some seatbelts on his chest just to just to put him out there. Keith Lee had two potential huge matches ahead of him, and it all started at Survivor Series during that 2019 NXT edition of Survivor Series and the Royal Rumble shortly after, because you had that stare down with Roman and you had them shake hands. I would not have been mad if Keith Lee was the one to dethrone Roman. I would not have been that mad because, hey, you're at least building somebody up. And then Brock Lesnar, I mean, come on, that just writes itself when they had that stare down at the Royal Rumble. So they missed out totally on that. Nia Jax, she just asked for more time because she was just dealing stuff with mental health, and they just said, yeah, fuck you. So they released her. Absolutely terrible situation. Mia Yim, as soon as Keith Lee was gone, people were asking me, people were texting me, is Mia Yim gone too? I'm like, don't worry, she will be. Because if Keith Lee's gone, so is Mia Yim, and as we all know, they're legitimately a couple. So, I mean, they're almost married to each other. Ajit Rama, I had no idea who he was, so there you go. I don't even think he even made an appearance, even in NXT. Frankie Monet is a very, very questionable one. She went off on Twitter. I don't know if you saw it, but she went off on Twitter saying, like, nobody should be criticized or lose their job because of their age. And she feels that's exactly what happened, and that is exactly what happened. And Ember, that's just sad. That's just sad. I talked about Ember in the first episode of the series on my TikTok, so you guys can go check that out. I did a whole little backstory and apparently why she was released and all that, but these releases, mind-boggling, and obviously BFAB. I mean, there you go with that. But I don't know, man. These releases are just not. Well, it proves that nobody's safe. And I saw somebody in the comments saying that you were very pissed off when Wyndham was released. Well, what were your thoughts on that? Because I know everybody here was not very pleased when Wyndham got released.
Oh yeah, somebody in the comments said that I was mad. Like, are they know that I was mad? Yeah, I was. I did mention, because I did talk about in my Halloween series, I gave one of the days to the Fiend especially, and I also did talk about the Bray Wyatt character just in general, just because of the fact that the day before I talked about his inspiration, so it kind of tied in together. Yeah. And I remember I was really disappointed that he ended up getting released, because here's a guy that has a great mind for the business and somebody who had a tremendous character. And especially like with yesterday when I talked about, one of the biggest issues with WWE right now anyway is just that we don't have characters that we can believe in anymore. A lot of people were saying that the last time they believed in a character was The Fiend. And talk about putting money into a character that, you had like Tom Savini making the mask, you had a custom belt for the guy, but just stupid booking decisions caused him to look extremely weak. And, now he's released, and I was disappointed because I think they could have done something incredible with the guy. I think he definitely could have been like the next Undertaker, the next like character that doesn't necessarily need to have a belt or something to get over, but just his character alone allows him to be a presence in the company. So I was very disappointed to see that, but I definitely think that, his talent will go elsewhere. I don't know if he'll go to AEW like a lot of people think he is. I know he's filming a movie right now.
Yeah.
But I definitely can see him go anywhere he wants. He's a pretty hot commodity. So
Nate, I mean, we all talked about this ad nauseum with Bray, but yeah, Bray is going to be going somewhere, and we're all just in it for the ride because at this point, it can happen at any moment. Because I believe his contract, well, his 90 days are up, so anything's possible now. Once he's done with making this movie, he can go anywhere. He can talk to TK. He can talk to the execs over at Impact, where Loft really wants him to go. And yeah, anything can happen with Wyndham Rotunda.
And to answer Venom, yeah, he is IRS's son. Both
Yes.
him and Bo Dallas
Yes.
are his sons.
Yep.
Yeah, like of course with Ray, I said Bray, we're gonna follow him wherever he goes because, like Anthony said, his characters in WWE were amazing, and like also what Anthony said, he has a great mind for the business. He's going to come up with some other character wherever he goes, and it's going to be fantastic. So we'll see. And speaking on what Josh said, he said, "How is WWE going to have a Royal Rumble if they keep releasing great talent?" Like, I'm not really worried about the men as much, but for the women, yeah.
The women.
Oh,
How are they going to do that?
How are they going to have a women's? They're going to have to bring in like so many like part timers. I mean, it's going to be insane.
I'm doing this again. I'm going on WWE.com and I'm legitimately I'm going on the WWE app and I'm legitimately going to count the women from Raw and SmackDown to see how many people we can actually fill in a 30 women Royal Rumble. So let's do this.
Like Nikki and Bree suit up. Kelly, we need you.
And I'm just only going to talk Raw and SmackDown. So we got Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch.
Got one more match in you. We need you.
So we got Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Carmella, Dana Brooke, Doudrop. So that's 6. Liv Morgan is 7. Nikki is 8. Zelina is 9. I was just about to count Sarah Schreiber, but she's not a wrestler, so we're still at 9. Tamina's 10 and Tegan Knox is 11. So 11 people on Raw for the women.
I mean, that's more than I thought there would be, but
yeah. SmackDown has Aaliyah, Charlotte. We're going all the way down here, people. Naomi, Natalya. That's 4 so far. Sasha, Shayna, Shotzi. I'm not counting Sonya because she's not really in the ring right now, and Tony. So 11 plus 8, that's 19 people. We're gonna have to have 11 people come back.
Which I mean, I could see Sonya coming back just to make an appearance, but yeah, they're gonna have to have at least a third of their women being part timers. Which I mean, they've been doing that the last few anyway.
Yeah.
So. And that's not even considering like the actual champions too, because like most of the time, unless they're like tag or like mid card champions.
Oh, that's right, and Rhea Ripley and all that.
Yeah,
so
Nikki
yeah,
Cross.
so
You got Xia Li.
Xia, yep. Oh yeah, so there's Xia.
They would probably include a few NXT people.
You gotta do some NXT people too. I see like Dakota Kai possibly making it. Look, Dakota Kai's been in NXT for about like 7-8 years at this point. She should have already been there. And I'm not even exaggerating, Anthony. Like she's legitimately been there since like 2015.
Has she really?
Yeah. She's legitimately been there since 2015.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
They might bring back.
I've been calling her Molly Holly.
Molly Holly. Yeah,
Holly.
I wouldn't mind that. She's actually, from what I can see, she still can go, and
Didn't she do anything? I thought she did something in the last one.
She did.
Or she did something. She did one of them.
Yeah.
And I think, and this is just creative booking on my part, just to get a laugh, if they use with the almost superhero gimmick with I am like totally blanking out on her
Nikki?
name right now. Yeah, Nikki
Yeah.
Cross. Yeah, if they're gonna do that and she's gonna be in the Rumble, I think they definitely need to have Super Molly Holly go and make an appearance just to have them interact and do something cool with that. Like, you're gonna make a joke out of the gimmick, like totally do that.
But I totally see Candace being in there, LeRae, Dakota. Not the Candace earlier. Not the Candace all the way back then.
Oh, I was about to say, didn't isn't Candice LeRae still pregnant?
She's in NXT.
Yeah, no, she's been on NXT with Johnny.
Yeah. Well. Oh wait, no, wait, I forgot. She is pregnant, isn't she?
Yeah, I was about to say, isn't she pregnant?
Yeah. So, well, if she wasn't, I could have definitely saw her in the Rumble this year. But people are also saying that Bayley can make a return.
Yeah, that'd be a good. As long as like she's completely healed up, yeah, I could see her making a surprise appearance.
Yeah, Santina Morella.
Santina, oh my God! I know Waffle like this one, but what if Electra Lopez came into the Rumble? Come on, Waffle.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna get back in there. That's why I named her.
Ratings. No, it's like
Ratings.
Waffle will lose his mind.
30. Here comes Electra.
Electra. And then trust me, there's actually some women in NXT that could actually make some kind of appearance, and we wouldn't be upset. What about Kyrie's saying she's back in her she's back at home. She does WWE stuff back there, but she's not in a wrestling role anymore. She pretty much recruits talent. So I wouldn't say that wouldn't work, but yeah. Josh, I would legitimately mark out. I'd legitimately mark out if Britt Baker showed up in the Royal Rumble.
Dude, they would have to pay her an insane amount of money.
Yes.
Bro.
I would legitimately mark out. If you don't know Anthony, I am a huge fan of Britt Baker. I always have been a huge fan ever since she came into AEW. People are legitimately calling her my wife at this point because it's gotten that big. But yeah, I would have loved it if Britt Baker actually just randomly showed up. Speaking of
better hope
Britt Baker,
not listening to this.
Listen. We've had Matt Sydal show up in our chat, not the real one, just somebody in that name. We've had Glock Anderson come in here.
My guy, Glock Anderson.
We've had
that has become the best meme. I actually watched that episode of Dynamite, and I was thinking I never would have thought that would have been like the biggest meme.
They made a T-shirt on it.
The fact that we in 2021 are talking about Arn Anderson and having like his name be like the biggest talk of wrestling is just insane.
Man.
Speaking of AEW and how everything's been going on, are you a big fan of that? Are you watching it weekly, or are you kind of just catching it here and there?
As of right now, I'm catching it here and there.
Okay.
You know, but I still follow along with everything. Obviously, a lot of the people I follow are providing the highlights on TikTok. I also follow like their Instagram and their social media, so I've been checking a lot of it out.
You seen anything of Full Gear?
Yeah, I saw the clips from the Omega Page match. I saw the Eddie tribute that Jericho did.
Yep.
You know, I saw clips of it. I was really excited to see Page. I kind of knew he was going to win, but like at the same time, you know, talk about long-term story booking and
a year in the making, bro.
Something that I miss in wrestling right now.
Long-term booking. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, I did also see MJF with Darby Allin too. I saw that as well. I love MJF, dude. He is like the best character. I was telling somebody this a while ago. It's really
I'm so
funny to
happy.
me that you have guys like Orange Cassidy and like MJF, whose whole gimmick is that they are basically keeping kayfabe alive. Like
Yeah.
it's the best thing. I love MJF. The whole shit
I
with his
would
parents,
love
bro, is
to
making me
get
laugh.
roasted on Twitter by MJF. Like, I would love it. If
I mean-
I got roasted by MJF on Twitter, I'd be a happy man.
I mean, you could always buy his cameos. I know you could do
Yes.
that.
but that, bro, MJF is such a special talent. There's nothing I like more than just adding a little bit of realism into professional wrestling. There's just something so real and so authentic about MJF. Whenever he speaks, you fucking listen. You turn on that fucking volume to max, and you listen to every word he has to say, because no matter what, it's going to be something memorable. Hangman Adam Page just won the championship, so obviously he's going to have the reign that is going to be something special. But in my mind, the next person up has to be MJF. It has to be. I don't know if he'd beat Hangman, but I think the next champion has to be MJF, just because of how amazing he has been over the course of the 2 years that AEW's been a thing.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I'm already predicting your next two. Now that Hangman is the champion, I definitely think that a heel is going to be the one to beat him. I would definitely agree. I think it's going to be MJF because he's definitely shown to me that he doesn't need any other title except the main title. But I also think that the one that they probably should do after MJF is Sammy Guevara. That guy,
Sammy, okay.
that guy is definitely showing right now with the TNT title that he can go, and
Yes.
it would make sense from a storyline perspective because of the fact that MJF, I think, included Sammy as part of like the cornerstones.
The 4 pillars, yeah.
Yeah, the 4 pillars. So I think from a storyline perspective, like have him and even include Darby Allin in there too, just include like those guys. I would love, this would be money if MJF was ever champion and having all 4 of the pillars being like a 4-way. That would be like the best thing ever, because like
that would be great.
Because I think you got to start pushing the youth more too. Because don't get me wrong, like Paige is, he's not that old, but like you've had a lot of older veterans kind of getting the title. So I think you definitely need to have somebody that is like younger and more homegrown to, win that championship and really just kind of elevate it a little bit more.
Now, I want to get Loft back in here, man. That buckshot lariat is probably one of the best things that he's ever seen in his goddamn life. Like, that's probably one of the best finishers. Like, I think he said on record that that's the best finisher of all time. But Loft, I mean, you know how much you love MJ. Not MJF, but Hangman Adam Page.
That guy is something. I remember being on that. I remember being on here when I first saw him do that move, and I was like, "What the fuck was that?" I was like, "That was the most nuts thing." But yeah, I don't know how you really. I want MJF to be the next champion, but I'd rather him win it in like a battle royale or something like that, to where Paige doesn't have to get pinned, because I think that would make more sense, because MJF can really use that in his favor and say he'll flip it some way. He didn't have to pin Adam or something like that. He'll flip it some way. He'll probably eliminate Darby or something like that. Just keep that storyline still going at the same time. But I really want to see what kind of matches they set up for Adam Page, because I'm not really sure how far they're willing to go with him, because it seems like they're in the progress of building like 4 other superstars, like Anthony said it with Sammy and so many other superstars, and Brian, because he just won. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't know how far this is going to get with him, but I'm just going to watch and see where it goes for now. But there's a lot of people on that AEW roster that have a very good chance of taking that championship off of Adam Page at any time, damn near. So,
What is everyone's thoughts on Eddie Kingston? I
Well,
love Eddie Kingston personally.
I
I love
mean,
Eddie Kingston personally.
one of the best promos right now in AEW, if not the business. Talk about a guy who is using like his character like to the best of his ability and just really showing like I mean I've seen a couple of his matches and they're pretty okay, but definitely he's like a promo guy and can really get over on that aspect. Digging the CM Punk stuff with him. I'm glad that CM Punk finally has somewhat of a feud. That's one of the biggest criticisms I've actually had of AEW is I feel like you had this great talent come in and you had this great moment with CM Punk, but eventually that sizzles out and you need to start doing stuff with him to actually make the fans care. And
that's what Waff has been saying too.
well, it's true because like, you
Yeah.
eventually get over the mystique of like, okay, he's here. So
Right.
what are we doing with him now? And like, you don't probably want to put him in the title scene because I mean, that's already stacked as it is, but you need to give him somebody that he can fight to that would make sense. So I think this whole thing with Kingston, and I know a lot of people are kind of comparing the feud with Cena from 2011 and how like the roles switched. I can definitely see that.
I can kind of see that a little bit.
I definitely think that like, I would like to see Kingston win this feud just because it would give him a little bit more credibility. And I think Punk in his later stages, he can lose to whoever and he's going to stay over.
He's going to be bulletproof.
You want to see Punk and Colt Cabana? Oh, I don't think Punk wants to, but
yeah. Listen, I'm shocked. Well, I'm not shocked that they're in the same kind of company together. But the thing is, I think everything that kind of happened between those two is kind of just, they're trying to just, I fucking, well, if I'm sorry I'm saying this, but they're just trying to coexist backstage.
Oh my God.
Wow, I'm sorry. I know it's Bruce's favorite word. Calm down. I don't see Punk and Colt Cabana ever really doing anything because, I mean, first of all, Colt's in the Dark Order. So if you want the Dark Order to just automatically, randomly attack CM Punk on an episode of Dynamite, have at it. But that would just make no sense. I think Eddie and Punk though is not over, like Josh said. That handshake that Eddie just slapped away obviously means something. It's going to go down much further. FNO Louis V, if you know him on TikTok, we were talking ad nauseum in our group chat saying, hey, where would we like to see Eddie Kingston go from here? Both of us have said that Punk and Eddie is not over. I personally want a steel cage match next, but he would like to see a steel cage match as like the third and final thing, in case if it ever had to go down to a final third. Something like they need to do something next that just involves fighting each other and just absolutely fighting each other, because the last one was a pure fight. It wasn't a match. It wasn't a wrestling match. They were just two guys going at it. Who the fuck is going to hurt the other? And that's it. And that's what I liked about it. That's what everybody here liked about it too, I hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Punk and Kingston so far. I was about to say, since we're talking about like destructive matches and stuff, one thing that I haven't seen in a while, a 3 Stages of Hell match. I believe that would be a good.
That would be great.
That would be a good stipulation for these two. Going down the line, if they ever, when they decide to add stipulations to their matches and stuff, I think that would be a great one as far as their feud and stuff going on.
Keep in mind, guys, this was only a 2-week build. This was only a 2-week build, and we got what we got at Full Gear. So the next pay-per-view is until February, and that's the end of it. So we're gonna have a lot of build if they continue to do this, which I hope they do.
I'm about to say they could be on a weekly show too.
Yeah.
So I would have to agree with Josh that they have more freedom to do what they want to do with each other. I think that's one of the biggest things that's different about AEW versus WWE is that I think also because of the fact that they're not a publicly traded company and they don't need to appeal to anybody besides their advertisers. AEW just allows their wrestlers to have more creative freedom to speak what they want or do certain things in matches, and a lot of times that benefits them. But then in the cases of like Domino's Pizza and Pizza Cutters, that doesn't always work out.
Yeah,
but,
that was.
But I mean, I think that allowing them to showcase their characters a little bit more, because I think when we look back at like some of the greatest characters, it's always themselves just amplified to like 100. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with WWE is just they're wrestlers and they wrestle. Like, why should I give a shit about this character? You know? And I think with like AEW, I think like when it comes to their characters, I know like I believe you asked me about that, Phil, like what the take on their characters is. I definitely think that they put more emphasis into allowing them to showcase their characters. Like here you I'm gonna talk about your favorite person, Phil. Britt Baker is an actual dentist and is allowing that to be part of her character.
Right.
And the fact that she got her own medical like name, DM,
she legitimately has it. Yeah,
is incredible. The fact that she could get a dentist character over in 2021 is amazing. But you know, you make me want to actually care about the character. Like I said with Britt, I know she's not probably a mean person, but there's just something about her that I hate. And so like, it's actually getting me to like hate the character. Same thing with MJF. Like MJF pisses me off every time I hear him talk. So it's
I love it. But mainly that's just because how I just love how his character's grown over the 2 years.
I mean, MJF, he goes overboard on a lot of shit.
Yeah,
he definitely knows how to create heat. I mean, have you heard the stuff he said about his own parents and how he has heat with his parents? I think
but also his parents have said it too. His mom said that they wish they never even had him. Like.
I mean, I think that that's incredible, and I think that like one of the biggest things about AEW that I like is that they can, you know, allow their wrestlers to be able to portray their characters in the best way possible.
They could push the boundaries, but as long as it doesn't like, I mean, MJF has said some overboard things, but that's just because it's MJF. He doesn't want to really give a fuck. But you give these guys the freedom to showcase what they can do. I talked earlier about bringing realism into professional wrestling, and we talked about this guy earlier. Eddie Kingston is kind of like a prime example of that. I mean, in the promo they did on Rampage against CM Punk, he said, look, nobody is going to tell you this, but I'm going to be the one to tell you that nobody wants you here. Nobody wants you here. So why don't you leave again for 7 years and never come back? And then obviously he headbutted him and they had that little brawl. But like there's nobody real more than Eddie Kingston and MJF right now. I talked about this with Lewis over the group chat. Once Eddie Kingston is done and he just hangs up the boots, I wanted him to stay in AEW but do promo classes for the younger talent. Because if you can articulate and you can show some kind of realism in your promos, you're already going to have your character set.
Mm-hmm.
Then not even weeks ago, 2 days ago, an article came out that he was working with Dante Martin on his promos. I'm like, did I call it or what? Like, the man is already thinking of it. So it's a beautiful thing to see, and I hope more people can not copycat, but bring that kind of realism and make their promos better in the world of professional wrestling.
Yeah, and I think that like especially like in today's era, where everybody knows it's a work and everybody knows that these characters and everything is scripted. I think we have to have those moments of realism where, and this is something that I know, hate him or not, Vince Russo had said that he wanted to bring more into wrestling. Like everybody knows that about the business now. Let's talk more about the business and actually bring more realism into it. And I think that AEW is doing that to its fullest potential. Like we know it's a work, and and I'm pretty sure like when it comes to like CM Punk, there were people that genuinely felt, why is this guy coming back after 7 years? He's just going to take up a spot that I want. Like there were probably people that thought that, and Eddie Kingston was probably amplifying that for those people. So
Yeah.
I definitely think that that's incredible to me, because it's actually giving me a reason to want to tune in. But
what else is there that we can do?
I know that there was something that before we started that you wanted to like bring up because you were very curious about my opinion on, and you didn't ask me at the time.
Oh wait, what was that? Shoot, I forgot. I'll probably remember it as soon as we get off the air here. But wow, what do you have any kind of any questions? Because I don't want to just be here giving everything to him, and we're to all of us. I mean,
Were you a fan of Prime TNA like 2005 to like 20?
TNA, we can talk about TNA, yeah.
Oh, TNA. All right. So I got into TNA because I started watching wrestling. Really ironic. I actually started watching it around.
Oh, we probably should have started around that.
No, it's cool. So I started.
Probably should have started where it was.
Survivor Series of 2007, and right around the John Cena Umaga feud that was going on. And I remember watching and flipping through TV and getting Spike, and it was about 2007, 2008, TNA, and I was like, oh, this is more wrestling. Let me check it out. And I remember watching guys like Abyss, Kurt Angle was in there, like all of the top guys, and it was incredible. I love TNA. My schedule used to be Raw, ECW on Tuesdays. Wednesdays was pretty empty. I think Superstars ended up being Wednesday at that point, and then Thursday was Impact, and then Friday was SmackDown.
Yeah,
I remember always watching that like 4 or 5 days out of the week.
I loved Prime TNA so much, and I love how it's trying to make its way back. But anybody who is willing to talk to TNA, I love it. He's on his way back up. He's like, I was like, Prime TNA was better than WWE for about 3 or 4 years. And
I definitely agree. I think that, and like TNA really is sad to me sometimes because of their fall from grace, because at one point they were competing pretty decently with them. Yeah. They were doing live events. They were doing, all kinds of touring. They were doing pay-per-views every month. Like they were pretty much like the secondary company here in America. Then Hulk Hogan came about, and that's a different story. But
God, I don't like him.
But like even then, like that show wasn't bad. I think when they really started to fuck up was when they wanted to compete with Raw, because that was around the time that you had Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart making up, and you just had all this stuff going on, and they were never going to compete. But definitely, like, I missed the way the TNA is. I watched it recently on Access, and I'm just like, fuck.
Oh, you actually have the channel. I don't have the channel.
Oh, well, I was using Sling for a while, and so I checked it out. And I was like, fuck, this just, like, depresses the hell out of me, because, like, this used to be, like, something really awesome that I watched, and now it just sucks. Like the wrestling's fine, but it was just, like, on such a smaller scale that I'm like, what happened?
The thing is that they're still not touring. They're not. They're still in wherever they are. I don't even know where they're actually located.
So they're located in Tennessee, I believe.
Tennessee.
And actually, they're actually going to come out next week to Vegas. They do a lot of Sam's Town shows. They're going to do 2 days of taping, and then they're going to do Turning Point. I wanted so badly to go to one of their shows, man, because of some of the people that were going to perform. But somebody asked me which theme song I prefer, Cult of Personality or Judas.
Oh, wow. Okay. This is kind of a big question over here. So,
I mean, I like both of them. If we're just talking about songs, I probably have to go with Cult of Personality. But in terms of like a wrestling theme, I would probably have to go with Judas.
Okay.
I like both songs. I'm not the biggest Fozzy fan, believe me. But yeah, Judas is cool. I like the song.
I really only listen to Judas from Fozzy. Sorry, not sorry, but
there's like a couple of other songs that Fozzy's done that are pretty decent off of that album, but they're pretty average. But
and then Loth and Nate know how I felt when I heard Cult of Personality on my fucking TV screen the first time when Punk came back at All Out on well, not All Out. What the fuck pay-per-view was that?
That was
The Rampage. The Rampage. Yeah. But trust me. And then when he had his match with Darby, oh my god, you guys know how much I marked out there too. But yeah, Cult of Personality is great. But that chorus, man, everybody sings along to Judas, and trust me, I was there. I was at Grand Slam, and trust me, there is nothing like being a part of an AEW crowd singing Judas. It is probably one of the most it's one of the most electrifying moments that you can actually feel as a professional wrestling fan. Also singing Cult of Personality too. Being a part of an AEW crowd is something special. So if you guys ever have a chance to do it, I recommend you guys do. But yeah,
you know the one song that like all the fans like instantly love. I remember there was a period of time like for like a week or so that like a lot of wrestling people were doing rankings of AEW themes.
Mhm.
And there were so many people that were like ranking Jungle Boy's theme as,
Yes.
like, super high. And I'm like, it's not that good. It's okay. It fits his character, but I'm like, it's not that good. And then like I started listening to it more, and I'm like, all right, I can see it now. Like
it's just like the interaction thing with the crowd.
Tony bought the rights to it.
Did he really?
all that time ago, and then the crowd just started doing the whole arm movement thing, and it's really like the way that song got over is because of the crowd doing the arm movement.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, really. I mean, I think the song's kind of pretty generic, if you ask me. It just does out it. It's a great song to listen to, and it has like a groovy kind of beat. But until the actual crowd interaction, there's not really much to it. To me, I don't know if that's just me, but you got that.
So somebody asked opinions on Christian's World Heavyweight Championship rivalry against Randy Orton.
Yeah, that rivalry. What year was that? 11?
I believe so. Yeah.
11.
Because Edge retired that year, and then immediately Christian got like the biggest push. And that's the one nitpick that I have is that I feel like.
And wasn't that the one more match push?
Yeah.
I thought that overall the rivalry was fine, but the thing that I didn't like about it was that Christian should have gotten a push because of how good he is, and I think that like TNA really got him a chance to shine and show that he can be a top level guy. Because especially in the WWE, he was always pushed as either a tag team guy or a mid card guy, and he was kind of put as the Jannetty of the tag team, even though he had really good success. But you have Edge retire, and then what do we have to do with the world title? Oh, let's give his former tag team partner and best friend and let him live through let Edge live through Christian, and like I was like, come on, dude, like what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's kind of like with when Eddie Guerrero, now that Eddie Guerrero has passed away, and it's kind of like more in everybody's mind. That was the only reason why Ray got a push, in my opinion, for the heavyweight title. And that just really was so fucked up to me. Like, I think Ray could be a top level guy, and I think that he is very talented, but you did not need to push Eddie living vicariously through Ray down our throats. I just find that very kind of just disrespectful, especially when you're pushing him and then you give him the title and then he's losing to literally everybody.
We actually talked about that topic earlier on a podcast episode, and everybody pretty much agreed with what you were saying. So when you said that, nobody really batted an eye. So thank you there. I thought the 2011 push was good. But I mean, Anthony's just over here speaking facts. So I mean, I can't even really. I wouldn't even try to top anything like that, but yeah, and at that point, guys, I was only watching WWE for a year. I started watching in 2010. Keep in mind, I was 12 years old at the time, and I was just trying to figure out what the heck professional wrestling was. Because before, I mean, if you guys believe it or not, Anthony's probably not even going to believe me when I say this, but I was watching. I was watching TNA first before WWE. I'm not lying when I say
really?
that. Before everything kind of went down to WWE, and I started watching that for 11 years. 11 years on at this point. As soon as I saw TNA with the Aces and Eights in 2012. I mean, yeah, sure, I turned on WWE here and there in the 2010 to 2011 range, but that was only because I was either at a friend's house and they were watching it, and I was just watching it along with them. I wasn't even really truly a fan up until 2012 when I found out that WWE was a thing. And then obviously the whole, I started watching all the way then. But yeah, so yeah, I was into TNA first before WWE. It's as strange as that sounds.
It was amazing, man.
Yeah. I mean, and then one of the best. I think it is probably one of, if not the best triple threat in all of TNA history was Styles, Joe, and Daniels at Unbreakable 05. Unbreakable 05.
All right, Unbreakable. What am I talking about Turning Point for? I got the pay-per-view on my mind right now.
Yeah. But Unbreakable 05 between those three men, to me, that is the greatest triple threat in TNA history.
Yeah, it's the only 5-star match of TNA history, so it's going to be definitely the best. I think they just talked about it actually today on their Facebook. To answer your question, Josh, no, I'm not an Eagles fan. I don't really watch football all that much.
Just watching random matches on YouTube. Josh, what were you watching, my boy? Let us know here. What happened to Eric Young? He's an Impact.
He's on Impact winning his people, if I remember right.
What?
Yeah, he is.
Eric Young is back in Impact.
What the fuck is that name? The stable name. Oh my god. What is that name?
Is he with the Menagerie?
No. What the fuck is that name? Eric Young stable. Come on.
Look it up.
Eric Young stable Impact. Come on now. There's no way I keep forgetting this. Come on.
Oh, this is messed up. I can't find it.
Yo, what? Oh, Violent by Design.
There you go.
VBD. Yeah. Violent by Design. Yeah, so he's over there. He's actually killing it over there. I'm super proud that he found Impact when he did, when he got released because of, well, let's face it, Sanity kind of, well, it had potential, but obviously WWE didn't see anything on it.
Talk about the missed opportunity for the main
Yes.
roster, man. That was just
That's where Nikki got her start. That's where Killian got his start. So was who the fuck? I know the other guy. I know him. Alexander Wolf. That's it. That's where he got his. I think Alexander isn't a part of Walter's thing, but I feel like he was a part of Walter at some point, even though that might just be me fucking some things up and Chris
Say Alexander Wolf.
Yeah, Wolf.
Yeah, he was a part of Imperium.
I might be crisscrossing some things. Imperium,
no,
yeah.
you're
Okay, yeah.
he was, yeah.
I was either crisscrossing some things or just figuring something out, but yeah, it's a damn shame. Though that group, and that's where Nikki got her start too, and now she's a superhero. Well, almost a superhero. Sorry. I'm surprised Loft didn't say boo, boo, because usually when I have a pun here on OTB, he unmutes himself and he says boo. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. See?
Whoa.
See? Whenever I have a pun here on this podcast, he always unmutes himself as soon as I do the pun. It's strange because he has himself muted, and then as soon as I do a pun, he automatically unmutes himself. It's like he's waiting for it.
Whoa.
My God.
Wait, does anyone know when the AEW video game is coming out?
The video game, it's still in production right now. Should be releasing summer 2022.
Damn. Okay.
I'm definitely excited for that. I looked at some of the graphics of that, and that looks just incredible. So I can't.
That roster is going to be stacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be the exact opposite of WWE 2K22. Like, I have no idea how
2K22.
Like, they're gonna have
I don't even want 2K22 to come out.
Like, I'm making.
I don't even want
here,
2K22 to come out. I don't.
It's gonna be like Roman versus like Roman, but with like a different shirt on. Like, it's gonna be like that. Like,
Here, wait, hold on. WWE Games women's roster. I know.
I feel bad because the developers are probably developing it right now, and so like you have all of these face scanner like recognition people, and you're gonna have all of these superstars, and then they figure out like, oh, WWE now like released them. Well, shit, there's money down the drain that we're having to like get rid of.
Where the heck is that picture?
Imagine going into work to like develop some superstars, and WWE just releases 40. You're like, what the hell?
Have you seen like the list of people that they've released in like the last like 2 years?
Yeah,
it's over 200 people, I think.
Crazy.
And see, what's insane is they still have a ton of people on their roster. Like, God, like it's amazing to me that they never thought to maybe just make and like if you're gonna like that's the thing. One of the problems I have with NXT right now is you had all these people that weren't getting used on like Raw and SmackDown. You could have easily had sent NXT, especially since they went to 2 hours. Like you could have easily had sent like so many of them there. But then like NXT became a developmental again, and just it was confusing to me.
Yeah.
I would have loved like AJ Styles and Kevin Owens went back to NXT. I feel like you could really like start them back up because there's so many really good matches you can have over there. They don't even have to win a title. You can just have them over there so they're not being used in pointless tag teams and jobbing out when you have so many good wrestlers on the roster.
I couldn't find it.
And so many wrestlers that aren't even getting used back there every week, you know?
Yeah, they have a lot of really good talented people who are just in catering. And I'm like, why? Like it's amazing to me. Like, I'm pretty sure like they're okay with getting paid to just sit there and not do anything. But
yeah.
I mean, but then they don't have an opportunity to make more money and increase their stock as a performer if you're just going to keep them in catering.
You're not only wasting their careers, but you're wasting years of their lives just sitting back there, stuffing their faces in catering. Like, I hate kind of using the recent WWE releases, but in a way, a lot of them, especially for the big names, it was almost kind of like a blessing in disguise, because now they can go elsewhere and they can be used and actually showcase their talent in ways that WWE just weren't going to use them. I mean, think of somebody like Ember Moon. I talked about this in my video. Ember, she was great in NXT in her first stint, got called up. She had an okay run, then she got injured. And then when she had her little mini feud with Bayley for SummerSlam, as soon as that happened, done. And then she wanted to work with the younger woman back down in NXT again, so she requested her move back there. She got it. Somehow she got it. And then she kind of just fit the mold better in NXT. And then she just, well, we all know what happened. But yeah, like, she had that one feud with Bayley. And that was really it. That's all you can really remember. That's all that I could remember for making that video. And yeah, it's a damn shame, but honestly, it's kind of a blessing in disguise to where now they can really show what they're made of.
Yeah, but no, to definitely go on that same point, I definitely think that a lot of the people who got released are going to definitely go elsewhere and probably thrive. I know Karrion Kross, I don't think he'll go back to Impact. He definitely could. But I think no matter where he's going to go, Scarlett's going to follow, and they're going to be a really great team. I think one of the biggest cases of somebody who was in the WWE system for a really long time and who's thriving on, Impact and on the independents is Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona is one of the biggest examples right now of somebody that WWE just continued to fuck around and has really shown that he could have been a great asset for the company. And I'll go on here and say that if it was not for somebody like Matt Cardona and his whole YouTube series, the WWE would not be a big social media giant like they are now. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people that have been in WWE have credited Matt for doing that, because at the time they were barely using Twitter. They didn't really use YouTube. And, Matt basically used his YouTube series to kind of get himself over. And WWE after that was starting to use social media a lot after that, I noticed. But just talk about a guy who would get a push and then just immediately get the rug swept up from under him. And just looking at the stuff that he's doing on the independents and being like the biggest heel is just incredible. Not even including, he put GCW on the map as a bigger thing now.
Yes.
He's doing stuff with other independents where he's winning titles and just being like the biggest heel. I think he's going to be having a match with Jay Lethal coming up. He's getting all these incredible matches coming up, and it's insane.
Speaking of Matt, like you said earlier, he put GCW on the map. Honestly, I'd go as far to say as GCW is probably, I'm probably going to say it, they're probably number 4 to me in professional wrestling companies in the States right now. The other 3 being obviously WWE, AEW, and Impact. So, he put GCW on the map. I know somebody personally that was there when he won the GCW championship from MDK all fucking day. And yeah, I know somebody personally that was at that show, and he was like, that was probably one of, if not the rowdiest crowds that I've ever been a part of. And I'm like, dude, I'm not even going to argue on that. I'm not, because I saw the match. And everybody was throwing trash at him. He was bloody as all hell in that match. And he was legitimately one of the biggest heels in the business, just right there in that match alone. So and if somebody told me that right now Matt Cardona is probably one of their favorite wrestlers right now in the year 2021, I would not have an argument against that whatsoever. Because he's such a good talent. He really is.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know what GCW was as a company until Matt started posting about it on Twitter that he was gonna. I mean, I saw like the buildup and like him talking shit to like Nick Gage and stuff like that. And I'm thinking like, okay, that's not gonna go anywhere. And then he's gonna have this like death match with him, and I'm like, who? What was GCW? And so looking into it a little more, I was like, oh my god, this is actually quite a company. And I've noticed like ever since then, like they're getting more people into the actual show. Like they're actually getting like now they're going to like the Hammerstein Ballroom. Like they're getting all of these big shows that are coming up, and like it's becoming a big deal. And I would actually agree. They are probably number 4, if not maybe number 3, because more people are talking about that, in my opinion, than Impact. Seeing. I feel like so many people have given up on Impact like nowadays, but like it's insane. Like GCW has started from a cult following to now they're getting a little bit more popularity because you're getting guys like Matt who are able to like get people to hate him so much they want to see him get his ass kicked.
Right.
I think his heel work is just incredible, especially like the stuff with Effie and the shows that he's been doing with him is just incredible. Like the last GCW show he did, he dressed up like Effie. And I'm like, this guy he knows what he's doing, and he knows how to get fans to hate him. And despite the fact that we all know it's a work and they all know that he's just messing around, they are still treating him like he's the worst person ever, like he's the Antichrist. And I just like
you talked about somebody that you legitimately hate MJF and just like how he speaks and everything like that. That to me is Matt Cardona. That to me like connects with Matt Cardona specifically because he took the title. He's just being like this absolute prick on GCW, and like that to me, it just showed that he wasn't as one-dimensional as WWE thought he was. So I love everything that Cardona's done.
Oh yeah, and he knows that what the fans are going to say, especially the rabid GCW fan base,
right?
Who are into this death match, who are into the extreme stuff, who probably don't watch or enjoy WWE all that much. And he's known as a WWE guy because that's where he's been almost his whole career. And so he's like, well, let me ride with that a little bit more. And he's trying to make it less extreme, and he's got a spinner belt with the GCW title, and he's calling it the Universal title, and he's doing all this stuff to get heat, and it's just like incredible. And he does exactly what MJF does. Even on social media, he acts like a heel, and he provides that realism as if everything is like not a work, and it's just incredible.
Yeah. What else is there? I want to talk about AEW for a second. What are your thoughts on their the women's division? The women's division. We all know how much everything about Britt Baker. Britt Baker's amazing, but everybody else in that women's division, women like Chris Statlander, Ruby Soho is really on the rise here. Thunder Rosa, who's phenomenal. I think she needs to be used more specifically. Laf, I'm going to get you to unmute yourself again. Red Velvet loves Red Velvet.
Awesome.
Kira Hogan.
Oh my God!
Stay unpaused. A lot of the women's division, it seems to be getting better, and especially with this TBS Championship tournament. Got Jade Cargill, Laf. There you go. There's another one. just your overall thoughts on this AEW Women's Division. Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? What are your overall thoughts here?
I mean, I was gonna make a joke at the beginning, like the what division, but no.
Hey,
No,
hey.
I'm kidding. No, I mean, that's been one of the biggest criticisms, and I'm really glad that they are at least giving them something else to shoot for.
Yes.
I mean, that's one of the biggest problems I think in any company is you have a lot of these people on your roster, but you only have one championship to fight for.
Right.
And so, like, not everybody's going to go against Britt, and you're going to need to give them something else to fight for. So I think having kind of like a mid-card title would be great. I don't think you necessarily need to have tag team titles. I think a mid-card would be fine because you can set up a lot of different types of matches. But I think they've got a lot of talented women. I mean, besides Britt, you've got the people that you mentioned. I think, one of the best that I found out about because somebody recommended it during my horror series, and she actually got an opportunity to fight Britt around Halloween was Abaddon.
Abaddon, right? Yeah.
Holy shit. One of the best characters I have ever seen in terms of horror. Because I remember somebody mentioned that, I'm reserving this spot for this character. And I'm like, who the hell is that? Come to find out this woman is an active AEW wrestler. And so I looked into her work and I'm like, holy crap, this woman has like the best look right now. And so I'm glad to see that she got a little bit of recognition a little bit more. But yeah, people like, Riho, Jade Cargill, like all of these women are like very talented. So I'm hoping especially like at least on Rampage, if you're going to, or since it's the TBS championship, if you're going to have it on TBS coming up next year, put more of a prominence on them on Dynamite if you need to.
Yeah.
But, I definitely think that having that's going to be helpful, but also give them something else, besides championships. Give them a reason to fight each other, I mean, I don't think you necessarily have to have a championship to be the reason why these people fight. I think, Eddie Kingston and CM Punk have kind of shown that to be a thing. Whether it's just for pride and they hate each other, I think that's a good enough reason. Do that with the women too. I don't think you necessarily need to have a title to fight each other. So I think they definitely are starting to be more prominent, but I think it just needs a little more time.
Yeah. I kind of want to. Looking at this division again, I just pulled this up here. We got Jamie Hayter taking on Thunder Rosa in this next round. We have Cargill taking on Velvet. So Olaf is probably going to have to be watching that match. I mean, it involves two of his favorite people of all time.
Yes.
We got Shida taking on Nyla Rose, which should be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Ruby versus Chris. It's either going to be, to me, I think it's either going to be Thunder and Ruby in the finals or Jade and Ruby in the finals. I think Ruby's getting to the finals. I don't see any other way. But, man, it's going to be an amazing tournament to see who's going to be the first ever TBS champion where, I mean, like you said, not everybody can be a world champion. So this was obviously needed for the women's division.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think that having this tournament really, I think it definitely shows that they're putting more of an emphasis in the women than WWE. I think even like the first like couple of matches altogether equaled the amount of time that the entire Queen's Crown tournament was.
Yeah. Yep.
I think the Queen's Crown was literally like all of like 20 minutes.
Yep.
And I think
the combined time was around 20 minutes for all the matches.
It's just really sad, man. Like they put such an emphasis. Here's the weird thing about WWE that I kind of get irritated with. You have fan reactions that'll tell them like, oh, you need to do this more. And I remember the big deal was like, we need to push the women more. Like women are not getting treated that well. Like we need to put more of an emphasis on them and make them superstars. And so then we have like the women's title coming back, the diva title getting, rid of, thank God. And then you start calling them actual superstars instead of divas. And you're putting all of this emphasis. But I remember like they were burning everything and making it all like, oh, this is so revolutionary. Like they were having like a women's Royal Rumble, a women's Elimination Chamber, a women's this and that. And they were just banging them all out. And eventually you reach a point where we're at now where like, okay, what else can we do with these women to make them feel important? Like
Right.
we can only do like the first ever women's this like once, I agree with you,
First
John.
impressions are everything.
That dude's championship is trash.
Yeah.
Get that butterfly belt out of here.
I was so happy when they took that goddamn title away. A pink butterfly is not something I want to see in women's professional wrestling.
The only one that made that look good was AJ Lee. That was the
yes,
only woman that made
talk
that look
about
good.
it.
See,
Say it louder for the people in the back, please, because like that.
this is a smart man right here. This is a smart man right here. That's what I'm talking about.
I like this guy.
Steve Off is already a fan of you.
This is great right now.
But
Although I kind of wish that she won that and threw that in the trash, bro. After that like pipe bomb that she did.
I want her to do on the Wonder Blaze. Just drop it in that trash can. I mean, I don't know how well that would have went over back then, but even though it was AJ Lee, so it was probably going to get over regardless because it's AJ fucking Lee.
Yeah. I miss AJ.
I miss her so much. I really do. I literally have a podcast for like an hour and a half to 2 just dedicated to her if I had to.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad to see that she's at least going into some wrestling capacity with I believe it's
she's WoW. It's WoW, right? Yeah.
I'm glad that she's in it. I don't know about that one woman that like caused up like a Twitter storm with like Impact. You know who I'm talking about?
Oh, damn! I know who he's talking about. So I forget her name. She's
like her dad is like a really like well-known legend.
Oh my god, I forget her name.
Fuck.
Was it Deanna?
Are you guys legitimately forgetting her name, or are you guys just saying that just to not say her name?
I don't know her name. I can't
Deanna Purrazzo was her name or something like that.
Well, Deanna Purrazzo is doing amazing things in Impact, but that's not it. I know exactly who you guys are talking about, but I don't know if you guys are just not saying it just to not say it.
Who is it? I really don't know. I can't remember her name.
It's Tessa Blanchard.
There it is.
Yeah, that's it.
I genuinely could not remember her name.
Okay. I thought you guys were not saying it just to not say it because of the situation that she was in.
Oh no! Talk about somebody who fucks up and then people tell her that she did wrong, and then completely goes the 180 and wants to merchandise and brand the hell out of it. Like she created that whole Nuclear Heat T-shirt or some BS like that.
Yeah. All right, Venom. Venom. Look you already know mine. It's a great profile picture, by the way. I love the pup, but but yeah. I mean, you guys already know mine, so I can't even say it. Well, I could, but it's the D&D. What the fuck are you guys talking about? Come on, dude.
Wrestling crushes, huh? I have one, and it has been a thing since 2007. I have always had the biggest crush on Mickie James. Mickie James has always been like the woman.
Beauty. Absolute beauty.
Yeah.
What's funny is like I actually started watching wrestling after she did the whole stalker lesbian angle with
Trish Stratus.
With Trish Stratus, yeah. I don't know if that would have helped any, but
Shit was so weird, right?
Oh, fucking Venom put Otis.
Is that your crush?
Otis.
Hey man, whatever floats your boat, I guess.
Current though, definitely Mandy Rose. That is the woman right now.
I hear
Oh,
that
man.
name one more time.
Definitely.
Oh man, Wow
I hear
hates
that Mandy
Mandy
Rose name one
with a
more
passion.
time.
He hates Mandy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Um,
I mean, but if we're just talking looks, bro, I mean, that's his name.
I feel you. I feel you, but damn,
I
I
was
do
say
not
I
like her.
got multiple. I can't even name. Like
you
number one
can
is
name one. He's not here. You can name it. You can name her.
oh yeah, my wife, bro, Sasha Banks, bro.
Yeah,
All right.
Without
yeah.
a doubt, my wife, and then of course Ty Conti. You feel me? That's the AEW Bay Thunder Rosa.
Bailey is very underrated too. Venom. I don't know why, but I've always had kind of a thing for Bailey too.
Oh no. Oh hell yeah, no. Bailey's definitely on the top of my list too, man. I can't tell you.
Mikaze
It's
is a very
hilarious.
lucky man.
No, it's so funny. I found an Instagram, like looking through my page, I found an actual Instagram account that took pictures of just her body.
Oh my god,
Like, I'm not kidding you.
that's creepy as fuck though. Like that's not. Like,
I was like, okay, that doesn't
I
need to
hate
be a
those
thing,
pages.
but I mean,
yeah, those pages creep me the fuck out. I can't even imagine what happens if they just see that on their timeline. Like if Bailey just sees that on her timeline, like come on, like
If
how
y'all have
demeaning
any
is that?
if y'all have any TikTok pages dedicated to that, please delete them. I hate
Yeah.
them Jones. Sexy hot divas 44. Like, please stop it. Go outside, sir.
oh my
Jesus.
god, did you guys see Josh's comment?
What is it?
Hey,
dude.
yo, what are y'all doing?
No, wait, I can't. No.
Hey, whoa, Josh, hey, chill. That's my wife right
I
there.
can't highlight. I highlighted
You-
that for like 2
you
seconds,
would-
but I broke that.
Hey, man, we got
Josh, you would not disrespect my wife like that, bro.
Listen, we swear on here, but we can't be doing that now.
Gotta go to
that's
bed.
a whole different page, bro. That's the only,
Yeah.
Go to bed.
Man, yeah. Go to bed. Nate's crying right now. Says
No, I'm not crying, bro. But you getting disrespectful, my guy. No, you can't be doing that.
Y'all crazy.
What I had something. You guys can bring up anything too. And Josh is just saying, I'm sorry.
No, he says he's sorry, but then look at the next comment that he left.
Oh my god.
Hey, we need to get Josh up out of here, bro. We need to get Josh up out of here.
What are y'all
Bro,
doing?
we need to be getting him like some ice or get him in a cold place because he's getting too hot right now, bro.
What are y'all doing?
Yo, Mo, you need to chill too.
What is wrong with y'all?
Mo, you've been here from the beginning, bro. Like,
Bro, what
yo.
is happening? What is happening?
Well, all right, we need to get off of the crushes now. We need to get off of the crushes because that's when they started to do their own thing. But man, yeah, listen, anything that you guys want to talk about, I'm game. So whatever you guys want to bring up.
Yeah, no, if you got any controversial ones, like our hard questions, come and ask me. I've always liked to consider myself a boomer when it comes to pro wrestling.
I don't know if you guys seen this, but have you seen the tweet that Charlotte was talking about? I guess it was like Charlotte did like an interview, and she was talking about the reason why she was getting all this controversy and stuff was due to the fact that she was a woman.
What?
And
What
Becky,
was
yeah,
that?
and it was on Twitter. I think I sent it to the group chat earlier, but
Oh,
yeah,
When was this exactly?
it might have just been buried in all of it.
yeah. Charlotte said that the reason why she was getting all of this controversy was because she was a woman, and Becky responded saying that gender doesn't have nothing to do with it; it's how you act.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Becky. Having some
Man, it really might have just been buried in all of it because
Yeah, I sent it like
I didn't hear any of it.
Yeah, I could probably resend it.
Oh no, I see it because I just found it on Becky's, Apparently, she did an interview, and it was posted on the WWE on BT Sport, and basically she was quoted saying, "It obviously rubs people the wrong way, but if I was a man, would it rub people the wrong way?" And Becky responded by saying that no one on her roster acts like this. Man or woman, gender ain't the issue here. All right. I mean, I don't get Charlotte sometimes. It's like, you've been on the top of the fucking wrestling world, especially in WWE, for the last, like, what is it, like 6-7 years now? Like, I don't know. I kind of find it hard to believe anything that she's spouting.
She's weird. She just says stuff to get a reaction, and now that's just a stupid backtrack, because anybody who acts the way she does, however you identify, you would not get any good things from the wrestling fans. Like you get treated like that because you act weird. That's why. If there was a male version of her and they acted the way she does, then they would get the exact same heat that she does.
Definitely.
What are your thoughts on this Becky Lynch heel turn? Because right now, Loff and I have gone on record on this podcast many a time that it's just not fucking working.
Is Becky a heel right now?
She's supposed to be.
Here's the thing with Becky is Becky's character has not changed really anything. Because to me, even when she started doing the man gimmick, she was acting like this. I think now she's being a little bit more of a jerk and dressing a little bit more snotty and everything like that. But like fans are still loving the hell out of her. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It kind of comes off more like cringe to me.
Thank you. Oh my god.
Like she's. Oh my god. Like here's my thing though. She's acting just like Seth. Anything that Seth's been doing right now on TV, she's just been replicating. And
yeah, but Seth can actually do it, right? Or
Seth has the ability to be a slimy heel because he's always done that. Becky's
look at his authority stuff for good measure.
Becky's never really been a full-fledged heel. She's always been more of she's either been a full-fledged like babyface, or she's always been like that tweener where it's like, you're a good guy, but you're also like a badass, which I think should always just be her character. I don't think you need to be a snarky heel with that kind of character, because especially like you just had her come back. She just had a kid. Why are you going to have her come and be a bad guy?
Nobody's going to boo her when she looked that amazing coming back.
No, not at all.
But the 26-second thing, that's a whole, well, I mean, that's not really a whole different story. That's kind of what started this whole thing of like, oh yeah, nobody's really liking her. I think they treated Bianca Belair so poorly in that situation. You build her up all that much just to end it all in 26 seconds. I that to me just never clicked right with me. If they were keeping Sasha out for precautionary reasons due to COVID, you could have just said something. But WWE, they don't acknowledge that CV-19 is a thing. They don't acknowledge it, so they just say, oh yeah, she's just not here due to some medical... They didn't even say anything medical reason. They just said she's not here. And then here comes Becky, so... I don't know. Loff and I have kind of went back and forth on that, but...
Turn her face again for the love of God before it's too late. Because if I have to come out there and watch this quote unquote heel get cheered out of the arena one more time, and then her cut the worst promo, and then go on the broadcast table and then just talk for 20 straight minutes, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to go on TikTok and I'm going to say a lot of angry things, and I don't like doing that. But they got one. They don't have a lot of times for them to just keep treating Becky as if she's not the most over face in the company. Stop doing that. You have heel. If you want to make a heel, There's so many superstars you can make heel. Do not make one of your biggest faces a heel for no reason. You're ruining it. You're ruining it.
But apparently she wanted this. She wanted the heel turn.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But that
She
doesn't mean
wanted the
that you
heel
have to
turn
go
upon her
full-fledged.
return.
But like there's a way to do it where, and I think, and I am going to defend this. If you were to make her a heel, the way that she beat Bianca definitely probably was the way to go, because how do you get fans to boo her when you know damn well they're going to cheer her coming back? You know, you got to create a really controversial moment to get them to hate her, and of, but it didn't work in the aspect that they didn't hate her. They hated the fact that Vince booked it that way. So it really just flipped on it. And I was like, remember the Roman face mask thing?
Listen. I actually applaud Roman for that.
I had no problem with it, but like, here was my mindset, because they haven't done that at all.
No,
because
they never acknowledged it. They never acknowledged CV until that moment, really.
But like, with that, I think the only thing was it just took me out of the match for a quick second. But then I thought, like, well, he's had issues with, he doesn't want to get COVID with this whole leukemia pass. So like, I understood the reason why he did it. It just completely threw me out of left field as to why he did it. But
yeah, I saw him with a face mask and I was like, wait, well, what's happening? And then it kind of clicked in the back of my head. It's like, oh wait. Yeah, I kind of understand now, but yeah, I totally understand
that's
that.
also a missed opportunity for the announcers, because the announcers could have been like, "Oh, he's probably doing that because, like, you know, like the color commentators could have been like, well, he's only doing that because he doesn't want to be anywhere near the air of like those people and da 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 da." I'm like, they totally missed an opportunity for them to make it a thing like that. Actually, would have made sense in the story, but
and no, Josh, you're right. You can't blame Roman because he was only just looking out for his health.
And he looked cool with it on.
Honestly, yeah. I mean,
he looked pretty cool with it on.
Oh, he's cool all the time. Hate that guy.
But yeah, what else? I keep forgetting what I want to ask.
I'd like to not remember that page in Xavier tape. Venom.
Yeah, no,
Thank you.
no, I wasn't even really acknowledging it, but you did, so there you go.
Every day.
It almost happens in every single one of our podcasts. Like, I swear.
Really? Do they bring it up a lot?
Yeah, like
every few months, they're like, "Oh, remember this?" No, I don't.
Like, I do, but I don't want to.
I'm choosing to not remember it. Leave it alone.
And I saw a comment up there earlier about the whole I'll just say Jeff Hardy situation. You guys could probably put 1 and 2 together.
So disrespecting me?
Huh?
Who disrespecting me? Did someone disrespect me? I'll look back in this chat right now. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the Jeff Hardy situation.
Are we talking about the TNA?
The TNA.
The TNA one?
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah.
People in charge should not have let him do that. That's all I'm going to say on it. It was just.
And then you just got Mo here that just said Jeff is hot. So there you go.
I mean, he looks fine. Facial hair could look a little different. I've never understood the fucking thing, but
yeah.
He does have to cut his hair like regular people. It's fucking awesome.
Oh God. Dude, I didn't get to watch wrestling, but I remember looking and I found a random video in which they promoted the whole Lita and Edge celebration. I remember that moment. No, and you know what?
I wasn't watching it at that time either, but I did my research.
And then I looked later on and I found out they actually got a ratings boost by doing that. So it worked. The only thing I don't like, though, is that Lita was very uncomfortable doing that. And I kind of was like, the fact that you're making her do it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Advertising that is nuts. Here on USA Network, Edge Like that's oh my god. I'm so happy I wasn't like
I don't even know how they even worded it on their
No, they literally were just like, this is a sex celebration, a live sex celebration.
They legitimately just said sex celebration in their commercials leading up to Raw that day.
I don't know if they did any commercials, but I know they mentioned the wording like that on TV, just because I've seen the highlights of it. 2006 was wild, man.
It was wild. I mean, I did my research. I mean, I wasn't watching them, but I did my research, and yes, it was a wild fucking time.
The last couple of years of Lita's run was very, very weird. And this is what I mentioned when I talked about why the Ruthless Aggression era wasn't always that good, because Lita was especially involved in a lot of really weird circumstances, because you had the whole mishap with the Matt Hardy incident. You had the live sex celebration with Edge. Even before that, when Edge basically stole Lita from Kane, because they did a whole relationship thing.
Wasn't she pregnant with Kane's baby and he fell on her or something like that? Yeah, I knew that.
So I'll explain the origins of it because it's fucking wild that Kane was a babyface.
Yeah.
So, basically, you had Matt Hardy in a relationship with Lita.
Yep.
Kane was basically saying, if you don't do this with me, then I'm going to kill your boyfriend. So she was forcibly persuaded to do that with Kane. And then I think it was announced that Lita was pregnant. Matt thinks it's his. Kane announces it's his. And then they end up doing a match where the winner was going to get to marry Lita. Kane wins. Kane marries Lita under her will. And then what ends up happening is she's pregnant and whatnot, has a match with Gene Snitsky where Gene pushes her over and then they end up losing the baby. And then Kane ends up battling Snitsky as the baby face in her honor. And then Lita falls in love with him and they end up doing the whole Edge thing after that. But it was just what the hell is this?
This was a storyline. Yes. I want to make that clear.
If you want to find out more about it, definitely check out. I know Wrestling with Regret did a video about Kane storylines, and this was his top video, the top one of worst Kane storylines of all time.
Yeah. Yes. This was a story. I want to make this clear that this was not. I mean, there were probably some legitimate things going on with Matt and Lita, maybe, and possibly getting intertwined with all of this. But yes, this was all storyline.
Well, apparently the whole thing with Kane and Matt was that Kane acted kind of as an intermediary, like a middleman with Edge and Matt, because Matt did get released after he talked about the affair publicly.
Yeah.
And then they realized hey, we can make a storyline and make money off of this. So then once Edge stole Lita from Kane, then Matt came back and they did the whole rivalry after that.
Right. God, that's wild. Jesus Christ.
I feel bad for Kane, man. Kane, talk about one of the best characters that the WWE has ever done, and talk about in his later years, especially some of the storylines that he was involved in. Just took all the mystique out of that character.
Mm-hmm. And now he's a mayor. And now he's Mayor Glenn. Mr. Glenn Jacobs.
Yeah, I try to stay away from his Twitter and all that stuff too. Definitely.
Hey, listen, I mean, the only time they brought Kane back, as far as I was aware of, was when they were back in Knoxville and they gave the key to the city to Bianca Belair, which was legitimately the size of her. So yeah, I don't know. He's a mayor now. That's all I can say about that. Kane should have a retirement match. He's done, bro. There's no point of him really doing anything.
My guy is in the Hall of Fame now.
It's kind of sad, man. I think wasn't his last match like the crown jewel Saudi Arabia match? Like
yeah, with BOD and DX. Yeah.
God, what a way to freaking go out, man! Like, Jesus Christ,
that bum ass match.
Oh, did he appear in a Rumble? I mean, I guess if you want to do some kind of random ass appearance, but that was technically the real last match that he had.
Yeah, his final in-ring appearance was at the latest Royal Rumble. Okay,
well, I mean, like a real matchup instead of like just somebody throwing over the top rope. I think that was it. And again, if I'm wrong, you guys can correct me, but yeah, the 2021. Yeah, that's what we just looked up. What else did we do? I mean, we talked a lot about stuff. I know there's more too.
Did y'all see the Spider-Man trailer?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did a live reaction to it. It's on my TikTok.
Yo, if MJ's gonna die, man. I'm just gonna freaking die like Gwen did, and I'm gonna lose it.
Like, that trailer. Oh,
I was freaking out. I thought they were gonna do the whole reveal, but they're really making us go watch this movie. So I'll do it.
Yeah, I was about to say people was trying to get me to go watch that movie, and I'm like, I don't want to watch it.
I'm dead. Pre-order tickets November 29th. I'm buying tickets to every showing. I'm just watching the movie like 14 times that day. I'm just gonna stay in the theater. Stay in the theater for 15 hours straight. Oh my god. You know what I wanted to do? I always wanted to watch a pay-per-view in a movie theater with a whole bunch of people. They never did.
Dude, they were doing that for Full Gear.
They did it for Full Gear.
What?
They did it for SummerSlam too. But
yeah, I remember that.
They weren't showing SummerSlam in my area, so I didn't do that. But they weren't showing Full Gear either, so.
That's all I wanted. I might
it's kind of cool that they do that, though. Like, it's really cool that they do that.
I've never done that before. I've never went to like a place where like everyone was watching the wrestling show at the same time. I never did that. I always wanted to experience that, so I might do that. Like,
but how much of like an actual packed theater room would you guys think that actually? Would you guys actually think that does like some good success, or is it just like, oh yeah, you only see like maybe a few here and there?
I mean, it might, but like, I mean, I don't think that it probably would like sell out completely. It'd probably have like, but then again, I mean, I go to movie theaters.
That's what I was saying. Like,
and they don't get that many people, but
especially now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much the tickets cost, like the AEW shows, but that might be a little bit better of a deal than going and buying the pay-per-view for like $50. I don't know how much it costs to do it in the theater like that, but
man, I definitely want to do that soon.
I mean,
as soon as
I would hope. I mean,
awesome.
I mean, but they used to do that with like WrestleManias and everything. They used to have it on like theaters and whatnot. They used to project it like that. So I think that that's pretty cool.
Damn.
Did you guys hear that WrestleMania is going to be another 2-night event this year?
Yes.
Thank God. Thank God. You know what? That was one of my biggest.
I love the 2-night. I love the 2-night thing.
I'm glad that they're doing that because you know what? If
I'm sorry about
that. WrestleMania, oh yeah, if a WrestleMania is going to be freaking 6 hours, it needs to get separated into 2 nights. I am really. That's one of the only good things that came out of the pandemic era was the fact that like we did WrestleMania in 2 nights, and it needs to be a common thing. You know, it's also good for them too because they can get a little bit more money out of people. Making a 2-night show.
Yeah.
So.
I think 2 3-hour WrestleManias is way better than a 1-6 easily. You give some room to breathe. You give some people time to digest what happened on night 1 and getting ready for night 2. I just think it's a better overall formula. And I mean, if you stack it enough for both nights, what harm could there really be done? Not really any, honestly. So I think it always should stay at the 2 day, but that's just me.
What do you guys think of NXT possibly switching over to TV 14 from PG?
What? Did they announce that?
I heard about that.
Yeah, it's rumored. It's rumors from WrestleVotes.
It's rumored right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's rumored.
WrestleVotes tweeted out.
They said it.
And other multiple articles have said it.
Yeah, they said it's WWE's call though.
Okay.
Oh God.
I mean, that doesn't sound too surprising. I think from what I can remember, there was a lot of stories and articles coming out about WWE's, like with NXT going to more of like an adult type product, and they were going to start having a little bit more mature stuff coming in, which I mean we saw with like the wedding they just did in the honeymoon, and adult jokes coming out with that. We were doing a lot of more adult content. I think it'd be fine. I John Cena.
Electro Lopez and the other one. I don't know who the heck that is.
I don't, but like with me, like I don't think that the rating of the show is going to improve the quality any. I know a lot of people who are like, "Oh, we need to go back to TV 14 because like PG's killing the WWE," and I'm like, it's not the rating that's killing the WWE. It's predictable outcomes, storylines that no one wants to give a shit about. You know, that's what's killing it. It's not the rating. You know, like when we look back at the golden era, like that was all PG, you know, and people think of that fondly. That they did, Mo. Do you guys see the honeymoon vignettes that they did?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
That was cringe.
That was not PG. That was not PG.
And see, that's one of the biggest issues that I have with WWE and with like the fan base too, is I think that we've gotten so conditioned to not see anything controversial or like adult themed nowadays. And then when they try to go back to how they used to be in the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era, because now we associate WWE with kids, whenever they do an adult type thing, it's always just seen as really cringe, you know?
Yes. First thing, I remember this like it was freaking yesterday, and you guys will probably remember it too as soon as I mention this. Alexa Bliss was getting ready for her match in her dressing room, and then all of a sudden one of the producers or whatever, and he freaking knocked, but then as soon as he enters, she turns around as she was trying to put her top on. And she's like, do you even knock? He's like, I did. He's like, well, like, go. Like, I mean, I'm like, all right, they're trying something at least. But, like, after that, I don't think actually anything ever happened after that. So, obviously, it just flopped and failed, and it didn't even work.
No, they had the Eva Marie.
And then Eva Marie, the towel thing.
There's a funny story about that. I was there live. I actually went to that show.
Oh, wow, you were at that show?
Yeah, out of all the shows, I go to the one where Eva Marie takes her fucking bra off. Yeah, I was there during the show, and I'm trying to think, like, how exactly they pulled it off.
Yeah, how did, did you see anything? Well,
I'm trying to think because, like, I know the camera was on Becky, and then they just turn, and all of a sudden she's, like, covering herself. If I remember right, like, I think it just popped off. I think they were able to, I think they put it, like, mechanized it, because I don't think anybody did anything. I don't think the ref did anything either. He might have, but I don't remember seeing anything that.
It might have been like a planned malfunction. You're saying pretty much.
Oh, it definitely was. Because if you remember during that whole build-up, she had yet to have a match, and then something happened before. Because she had just come back up from NXT after learning to wrestle a little bit better. But I remember when I went to see that live, I remember 3 things from that show. That moment, the dark main event, which was Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt for the title, which was a great match. And then the dark match, they had a jobber that was cutting a promo, and he was talking about how shitty the town was. And then all of a sudden, Kane's pyro blew off. And I remember we all just shit ourselves because we didn't expect him to come out. And I'm not kidding you. If you've ever been in an arena with Kane's pyro going off, it's loud.
It's loud and it's hot.
Especially when you're not expecting it. And it just scared the absolute shit out of us. And we all had heart attacks. But we marked out when we saw Kane because we were like, oh.
Wow, come on now. Wow.
Yo.
I said it. I listen, the pyro is hot. It's not. Stop.
No. I wasn't talking about that. I wasn't talking about that.
Oh.
I was talking about how freaking when Kane comes out, it feels like you're about to die.
Oh yeah. The pyro is hot. Well, not whatever you're freaking was thinking.
I was with you.
But oh my god. Experiencing pyro first as a kid when I was young, going to WWE events.
Oh my god.
They legitimately. I remember during the time when I was a kid. I don't know if this might have just been the arenas that I was at here in Connecticut, but they legitimately, as soon as you walk through the door, gave noise canceling headphones to young kids here at the XL Center.
Oh, did they really?
When the pyro came off, so it doesn't damage our ears.
And I wish we had those.
They give it to the babies, yeah.
Yeah, they gave it to the young. They gave it to the young ones, and honestly, I was a jealous young kid at the time, so I was like, hey, give me one, please. And then they just said, yeah, here, fine, just do it. I was a jealous young kid. What the hell? I was like 8. But yeah, they gave us noise canceling headphones so that it wouldn't damage our ears. And then they're like, oh yeah, you can take them off now. I was like, okay. And then I just enjoyed the show. Kane's pyro's insane. Trying to think of other pyros that I saw as a kid. Mysterio's, whenever he just did the whole pointing thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was just mesmerizing to me. That wasn't even really loud. It was just mesmerizing. Just say, oh yeah, he points and the pyro goes off. That's awesome. Again, young kid, just having a fun time.
When they did the signature at the beginning of the show,
yes,
they just pressed every button.
Yeah.
The worst thing ever. Oh my god, this is so freaking loud. It's hitting every button they had back there. Oh,
yeah, still to this day, when pyro go off at WWE, I immediately cover my ears because I can't take. I'm
shocked that pyro goes off at some points in WWE because honestly, they were trying to cut that off completely at one point.
Yeah, and then fans were complaining oh snap, we missed the pyro, so bring it back. So.
The amount of pyro that AEW used at Full Gear is probably more pyro that WWE has used in probably the last 3 combined. They had a lot of pyro at Full Gear, if you guys remember.
Most people just get. I think most people get smoked now. I think only Sasha, Roman, Jeff,
Charlotte especially.
Yeah. There are a few superstars that get pyro. Everyone else just gets smoke or something. And Rhea, when she does her thing, she gets that really loud pyro sound, but there's no pyro. And I never understood that.
Ryback had that. Whenever he did the thing for Ryback to feed me more, he did the double hands, and then it just sounded off. But I was there one point when Ryback was there, and I saw him do it. No pyro went off, so I'm like, all right, well, he doesn't have it then.
Yeah, that makes me think back. Like he actually never had pyro. Yeah, that's really weird to think about.
Yeah, like he did the whole hand thing, and it sounded off, but it never actually went off.
Yeah, no, I noticed that. Only like the big stars nowadays have pyro, which I mean, I guess makes it more like, I mean, it makes them out to be big stars.
Make them bigger than life, yeah. I want to get everybody's thoughts on this. I was looking at other content creators in the community, not just on TikTok, but just everywhere. We all know, and this is kind of going to get a little bit sad here in a second, but we all know BFAB got released in one of probably the worst ways possible. I heard a take, and I want to get your guys' thoughts, that WWE just does not want women anywhere near male superstars or stables on the main roster. Let's take a look at some examples. Andrade with Zelina Vega, they completely took her away from Andrade just for a little bit after that. Then they tried to pair her with Angel, and that didn't even work either. Nikki Cross, when she was with Sanity, they kind of split her away to do her own thing. And especially now with Bianca, not Bianca, BFAB, they had her be with Hit Row all this time, and then as soon as they make it to the main roster, she's not only away from the group, but she just got released. Did you guys realize that WWE just does not want women with their male counterparts, or is that kind of just something that you kind of just realized now as I spoke upon it?
I'll be honest, I actually never thought about that either. That's probably the first time I actually gave any real thought. Because now, I mean, just as you talk too, I thought about Karrion and Scarlett. Like
Karrion and Scarlett, yep, that's another one.
Karrion just moved up there without Scarlett. I don't know why. I mean, it would be good if you're doing it to like elevate that person on a single wrestler standpoint. Like if you want to maybe try to get Karrion over by himself without Scarlett, that's fine. We definitely saw how that worked. And I don't even think Scarlett was doing anything on NXT to begin with, so like she wasn't benefiting from it.
She wasn't even in a wrestling capacity.
And then you have like Andrade, which, okay, you want to make Andrade a big deal by himself, and then maybe give Selena a single push. That's fine. But Selena didn't do anything until she got released and then came back, so she wasn't really doing well. So if you're doing it to like elevate these people on their own, then it makes sense. But like they're not doing anything. So I definitely think, just like how I feel with WWE and tag teams, they probably don't like stables all that much, because you really can't name me too many stables that are on the main roster long term. I could probably name a couple, but like what I've noticed with AEW and NXT before the relaunch, they were very big on stables and valets, and they were big on those kind of things that I noticed the main roster doesn't really like. Same thing with tag teams. I feel like WWE hates tag teams, because how many tag teams in the last 5 years have all broken up because one betrayed the other, you know? So I don't get it. I think maybe Vince is just stuck in his old ways and thinks that tag team wrestling is just not a thing that people like watching, even though that's dead wrong. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Same like what you said, Anthony. Like Like I don't know what it is with WWE as far as stables and also uh, with women being in the stables. Um, like we said, like Zelina Andrade, like it was cool because Zelina got her little single push after that, which is great. But like I don't like it's kind of like pointless if you're gonna have that happen in NXT or whatever, and then once you get to the main roster, it just completely blows up and goes different ways. It's kind of like with Sanity as well. Like across from aside from Nikki, they still blew it up. Like you had Alexander Wolf go to Imperium, and you had Karrion Kross do his own thing. Eric Young did his own thing for a little bit before he got released or went to Impact. So like Anthony is completely right as far as like the stables being together long term. It's just not happening. Like I don't know what it is.
I mean,
Go ahead, Law.
I can name one stable that's been together like a long time, and they just now are starting to go and do other things.
The New Day.
Like the New Day. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. One thing weird about that is, do y'all remember when they tried to do the whole mixed tag team pay-per-view thing?
Yep, the mixed match challenge.
Mixed tag,
Yeah.
Yep.
It was like, I felt like they could have done something with that, but then it just slowly dwindled down because I feel like they didn't really care about it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And for a second, I thought they were gonna like put like a whole belt for it. But
yeah,
I mean, as far as the whole stables thing go, I don't think since like 2009, I think that's around the time where they started to slow down with the stables, because one of the biggest stables of all time with the Nexus, they dwindled down to the new Nexus, and then dwindled down to the core, and then they dwindled down to I think they had like another version of the core. It's like every time they have a big stable like that, they just cut it in half, and then cut it in half, and then change the name and cut it in half, move brands, cut it in it. It's like eventually they all break apart. So it's like you never have those big NWO or D-Generation X stables. Because it took me a while to realize that D-Generation X wasn't really a tag team; they were a stable. I didn't even know that, because when I started watching, I was alive when Shawn and Triple H just were doing like their whole relive the glory days kind of thing, with Shawn kicking Stan, and when the book came out, like, and they were throwing the glow sticks. That's when I started seeing DX. So it was like I didn't even know.
It was a resurgence of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know until I got older that it was like X-Pac and China and all of them were even in that whole stable. So it was like seeing that and how they just slowly dwindled it down. The only stable they really care about partially is the NWO, because they had the whole thing at WrestleMania when Sting and Triple H. I hate that match because Sting should have won, but anyway, they had that whole little weird reunion, and it was like, this is the only stable they really care about. That's the only one they really haven't tore apart. And like Anthony brought up about the New Day, it's just like y'all know I don't like the thought of the New Day breaking up, because I just feel like there's no reason to. But you have so many different, like you can even bring Team Extreme. You just have Jeff, Matt, and Lita. Even though that wasn't really like a stable, but it was still a group that was running around.
Yeah,
the
but
brand.
didn't like Lita fade away from that group too? Later on, I mean,
that came out with Jeff and Matt.
And that's what I was saying earlier, Laf, about women just slowly, or not even slowly at this point now in 2021, but they just completely fade away from male-dominated stables. I mean, like I said, Zelina with Andrade, B-Fab with Hit Row, and there are plenty more, but those two especially. I mean, heck, Vince said to Andrade himself, go learn English and I'll put you in some kind of school so that you can't. And yeah, he legitimately said that.
That does not surprise me, because I remember, if you guys have ever seen the Stone Cold podcast episode with Vince, Vince was asked, why is Cesaro just not getting over? And indirectly, he said that it was due to the fact that, his English wasn't really that good. He was saying it was like a European style, and he's just not connecting with the fans. And I'm like, bullshit.
Yeah, bull crap.
The swing was like the biggest thing at the time. People loved the hell out of him. And it's not that he's not connecting with the fans, and it's just you don't want to push him because you think that he can't deliver a good promo, which is really funny too, because like I remember when they made such a big deal about Drew McIntyre in his first WWE run, and it was the whole Scottish accent. People aren't going to understand him.
He had a thick accent too at first.
And then I noticed, like, as soon as he started getting bigger and he started maybe talking a little bit better, that's when he got the push.
Right.
But Cesaro's been in the company for I think like probably more than 10 years at this point. Like,
yeah,
I wish he would.
There.
But like at the end of the day, like I don't think he needs the main title. I think he's fine where he's at. It would be great if he got it, but it always kind of struck me the wrong way when Vince said like, oh, he's not connecting with fans. And it's like, yeah, he is. It's just you're not noticing. But
yeah, like he told Andrade to go to a school to learn English properly. He made Keith Lee go back to the Performance Center to wrestle like a big man. When you have Keith Lee, where you just have to look at his match against Dominik Dijakovic to learn that he's more than just a big man. You're not gonna have him go to Performance Center, wrestle like Mark Henry, and then just execute it on Monday Night Raw. Like, no, the man is way more talented than what you're trying to claim him to be.
I find that to be a big insult on Keith Lee's ability because, when we look at big men in wrestling, why do we look at?
And I didn't mean to call Mark Henry out. I'm just saying,
no. Because that was his style, and I thought that he executed it well. But like when we look at big guys that stand out, why was a guy like Bam Bam Bigelow so popular? Why is a guy like Vader so popular? Because there were these big men who were athletic as fuck and who could do moonsaults and shit. Like you don't have to be a big guy and be a hoss fighter. You can totally just be an athletic guy, and that set Keith Lee apart from all the other big men in wrestling at this point. So the fact that like he's trying to get away from what's actually getting him over with the fans is just incredible. Like I didn't know he said that to him actually. Wow.
Yeah, he made Keith Lee go back to the Performance Center to wrestle like a big man.
That's crazy.
And now where is he? On the unemployment line, waiting for another 70 days just to get some work.
I'm already making a prediction. He's going to probably end up. I can see it happening. He might end up in AEW or Impact. I think that one of the two will probably pick him up.
I don't know if you know this, but Bronson, the former Bronson Reed, now known as Jonah Rock, he showed up at the New Japan show in LA. So he is officially over there now. It was rumored that he was going to go to Impact, but now he's officially a part of New Japan. He attacked Buddy Matthews, so Buddy Matthews versus Jonah freaking Rock. That give me that. Like I'd love to see that. This literally has nothing to do with the top three companies in Impact, AEW and WWE. But Malachi Black, AEW superstar Malachi Black, is facing the Amazing Red at the next House of Glory show in New York in a couple of weeks.
What?
Yes, Malachi Black and the Amazing Red at House of Glory in December or something like that. You guys can legitimately look it up. It's on anything House of Glory. Actually, you know what? Screw it. House of Glory. Not Born Again. Born Again just happened for
He
their.
will. Yeah, he will. He will.
Yeah.
Wow.
Born Again just happened, and the Amazing Red took on Will Ospreay, and that match was a 40-minute classic.
Hmm.
And I'm not even exaggerating. It went 40 minutes. I got to watch the show. It was only $15, and I watched amazing action. I saw Ivelisse. I saw they advertised an appearance by Juventud Guerrera, but I didn't actually see it. I'm not even sure if that actually did happen, because I didn't see it. And the thing is, guys, something that I was very, very happy about is that right before the main event, and as soon as the last match before the main event happened, we had a 15-minute intermission. I loved that. I loved that I could just sit back for 15 minutes, just absorb what I had already seen, and then get ready for the 40-minute classic that was Will Ospreay versus Amazing Red. I loved that 15-minute intermission, just to have a little bit of a refresher and just a little bit of a break from what I saw, because there was only 6 matches on the card, and the show didn't even eclipse 3 hours. It was like 2 hours 45 minutes altogether. It was great. But then again, that's the power of a really good independent wrestling company.
Oh, I had this thought the other day. I actually thought about this. You know how obviously WWE does the Saudi Arabia shows. Like I think the first one was like Super Showdown or something. Where was Super Showdown in India or something? Super Showdown, was that in Saudi too?
I think it was in Saudi.
Okay.
Super Showdown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wasn't one of them in Australia though?
I don't know.
First, Riyadh. Wait, no, that's Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
It was like the first one they did.
Crown Jewel.
The first ever one that they did.
It was
Let's
called
go all
Super
the way
Showdown.
back.
It's called Super
Oh
Showdown.
yeah,
I don't
no,
know
the first
when.
one that happened was in I think it was in Riyadh. I
Okay.
believe. Let me look.
Well, they did the Greatest Royal Rumble in Jeddah.
Oh no, you know what? The first one in 2018, that was you know how it had Undertaker and Triple H? That was in Australia.
Melbourne.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. But like, I was trying to think. Do you think that if they move those shows, if they like, I know a lot of people don't like the whole Saudi Arabia deal. I'm not gonna really get into the logistics of that because that's other shit I don't feel like talking about. But
Yeah.
do you think that if they like somehow got out of that deal and struck up a deal with somewhere that has a bigger wrestling crowd like Japan, you think they would do something like that to where they combine WWE in Japan, or just put the shows in Japan to where it's like it's not so much where the wrestling fans like. I'm not saying that the wrestling fans in Saudi Arabia don't like wrestling, but in Japan it's so much of a bigger brand, you know. And I feel like if they really want something to expand WWE worldwide, even though it's already worldwide, Japan will be a better way to go, because then you have this place. You have people like Shinsuke who have got completely freaking nerfed on the WWE roster. Put him back in Japan just for a WWE show. That might like give him a chance to really show what he can do against somebody who's like already in Japan, you know, or have him go against AJ and have the match that they should have had when they first got there, you know. I always felt like the deal that they made, it should have been with somewhere like Japan, to where like now these matches aren't about just putting a whole bunch of legends in the ring and having them almost kill each other. It's really about you are in our country now. You have to put on 7 good matches to make us believe that we should bring WWE back over here again. Because I know New Japan thinks of themselves as the best, you know, so they allowed WWE to come over there you have no choice but to put on 11 barn burners, you know, or you're never going to get there again. So just like,
are you saying like a super show between those two companies, or is it just WWE going over there?
Instead of going to Saudi Arabia, go to Japan.
I'd honestly be kind of shocked if that ever happened. Mainly because I mean, to be completely honest, I don't even think Vince knows that Japan exists.
Yeah, so I'll answer this just before I because I gotta go in a minute.
Yeah, we've been talking here for a long time anyway.
It's been fun, but I don't see WWE doing a partnership with New Japan. Don't get me wrong, I think WWE would be fine with it, just because of the fact that like WWE is always looking for opportunities to expand and make money. I just don't think that New Japan would want to take it for the sole purpose of they could not trust them. When we
look what happened with Evolve.
Yeah, when we look at like the European scene and we look at everything like that, what was the end game for that? I don't think it was partnering with like Evolve for the sole purpose of trying to highlight more of their talent. Because what happened after that, NXT UK, they completely took away, you know, that area to work and just made it a WWE territory. And I mean, I look at like NXT's plan, like from a couple of years ago, their whole plan was like, we want to have NXT in Japan. We want to have it in Australia. We want to have it in South America. And so pretty much it was like a plan for world domination. So yeah, I could see like WWE doing like a partnership with them, but like, I just don't think New Japan wants to get their territory completely taken over. Like the UK scene got, you know, done, and what they've done in the United States, you know, where WWE took all of the best talent from each of those territories and really just ruined the territory system. I feel like WWE has been trying to do that, but on a more global scale. So I think it'd be great. I think they used to do it back in the day. You know, I look at, you know, the super shows that they used to have back in the 80s, and, you know, those are all well funded. WCW used to do stuff with New Japan all the time. I just think might be a lack of trust when it comes to like New Japan having with WWE. Do I think that WWE can just go over to Japan and have some shows? Yeah. I remember they do that one show on the network, the Beast in like Tokyo or something like that.
Beast in the East, I think it was called.
Yeah. I mean, they could totally do that if they wanted to do different shows and then just make them glorified house shows. I would love to see certain people like, you know, Will Ospreay going against guys like, you know, like I think they've done it already, right? Will Ospreay and Ricochet.
I think so. Yeah.
I'd love to see that again. Who's another good talent like that would be probably good for Ospreay?
Finn Balor.
Oh hell yeah, Finn Balor.
Yeah.
AJ. Oh, money on the fucking table. AJ and Will Ospreay. That would be money right there.
I mean, I'd love to see it too, but I mean, like Anthony said, I just don't think New Japan would really kind of trust it. I mean, a partnership that I look to in a way where I loved it when they announced that this partnership was happening, but now they're not even a partner and they're not even partners anymore in all of this. Was part of the Forbidden Door with AEW and Impact. AEW and Impact are no longer. Yeah, AEW and Impact are no longer partners with one another. Mm-hmm. And while Kenny had pretty much every single belt under the sun, he did nothing with that Impact Championship. Nothing at all. Nothing to elevate it. Nothing to even elevate any real star over there. He had when he defended that championship against, I think it was Rich Swann at that last show at that last WWE Impact pay-per-view that he had, and he retained it. And then he lost to Christian on the second ever episode of Rampage. Mm-hmm. I love that match. That match was fantastic. I think it was an unbelievable moment to just see Christian be the Impact World Champion for as long as he was. But let's face it, they really did nothing with that championship. And when Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson were with the Elite all that time on AEW television, I thought that they were a part of AEW. I thought they just silently signed with AEW. Little did I know. Yeah, little did I know they were actually still fully contracted with Impact. They were still fully contracted with Impact, and I was like, holy crap, they are. So I was like, they did nothing with that partnership, and it kind of just faded away, and they said, after Bound for Glory, that's it.
Yeah, so, I mean, this partnership and opening the forbidden door a little bit really just shows to me that as to why these companies could never work together. And that's just ego and wanting to not give not wanting to give the other company any sort of look. This is entirely why I feel like the whole WWF versus Alliance invasion storyline didn't work out, and why as many people wanted to dream about WWE versus WCW, I knew damn well like those companies were never going to work together because of ego. They were never going to want to look weak in front of the other. And I feel bad for Impact, because I feel like AEW used them entirely just to make Kenny Omega look good.
Yes.
And it was all that. It was only that. You didn't really have anybody else from AEW go on to Impact. It was literally just Don Callis and Kenny Omega. I think the only Impact people you had on there were the Good Brothers, who every time they were on AEW television, they sat in the background. And I think when Adam Cole came in, like there was a joke going around, like, well, there's another moment where Adam Cole doesn't recognize them at all.
Yeah.
You know? So it was just ridiculous. Impact, because I even talked about it too on my TikTok, and a lot of people agreed with me. Impact did not get any benefit from this partnership whatsoever, except maybe having their belt on there. But like,
it got the belt more exposure, and that was about it.
But so did AAA, and people aren't going to be going and trying to find AAA either. You know, it just makes Kenny look good. And, you know, I think that AEW working with other companies is really good.
Yeah, I think the Forbidden Door concept is great.
But
it just didn't work out with Impact.
But I think on a wrestler-to-wrestler basis and not a company-to-company thing, because – you know, no company's going to want to look weak. And like AEW looked entirely strong in this kind of in this partnership than Impact did. I don't think it benefited anybody. I don't think anybody ever went over to Impact to really watch. I know I didn't.
No.
But I see the same thing happening with WWE and New Japan. WWE is more willing to include New Japan people, but they're not going to let their WWE guys go over to New Japan and do shows. I mean, there was talk about it with Bryan Danielson back in the day, but
Bryan wanted to wrestle, but Vince did not want him to go over there, because if you let him go over there, and then he had a banger of a match, let's say with Kazuchika Okada, I mean, Bryan would want to stay over there, and then Vince would be like, yeah, no, you're coming back over to the States, and you're not going over there again. I saw what you did, and yeah, sure, you did something great, but what's that company really going to do for me in the long run? And then
I really think that Vince needs to look at this from a business perspective and not just like an ego thing, that, okay, what's going to make my company the most money? You know, and just getting exposure. I ultimately think that they squandered a big opportunity when Punk left with the title after Money in the Bank. I think, you know, if you have him not under contract and he's got the title, why not have him go to other companies and try to?
He said in the pipe bomb that he'd go to Ring of Honor or something like that, right?
Go to Ring of Honor, go to go to Impact, go to different independents with the title, you know, and just make a thing out of it. You know, I definitely feel like he could have done that and he could have made more money. But, you know, Vince definitely has an ego and doesn't think that any of these companies are worth his time. And, you know, it's sad to see. But I definitely feel like it's a big missed opportunity to have any of these partnerships. And I see Josh was talking about how AEW might try to do the same thing with WWE. I don't know if he's talking about like a partnership, but I don't ever see that fucking happening.
No. The only way I saw that happening, and I think I talk about this with Love. I actually think we just talked about this last night. Yeah. The only way that I would ever see WWE working with AEW is if, well, first of all, Vince would have to get out of power. And second of all, it would have to be Triple H, because Triple H knows exactly what we want, and that is professional wrestling. But we talked about it, I think, before the stream even went on the air. I personally, and I think you personally think either that it's not going to be Triple H that might possibly take over.
No, and I think that, and I definitely feel, because, and this just really shows a lot of Vince's age too, because Vince back in the day used to do entirely what Triple H does and have that same mind. And I find it very funny, because I think that Vince and young Tony Khan, they're very similar, because Tony Khan is doing a lot of the same things and having a lot of the same visionary kind of ideas that Vince used to have back in the day. And Vince used to have partnerships with New Japan. He used to have people come into his shows. He used to have AAA people. He used to have NWA people, and then he got bigger and got an ego. But I definitely feel like Triple H would do that as well. And I feel like with Triple H, part of the reason why he's probably not in power anymore is because you got guys like John Laurinaitis, Kevin Dunn, people who have been in the company for a long time and are probably only there because they kiss Vince's ass, who are saying, hey, he's not good for the company, in getting in his ear. Oh God, Stephanie McMahon taking over the company? I don't know about that, bro.
Loff was saying, you said something about the women's division with Stephanie, right, Loff? Because she's an actual woman.
She should be in charge of the women's division, because we all know that. I think I said this last night, when Vince retires, John Laurinaitis is going to be the one to take over. I don't think Triple H is. I think Triple H lost his opportunity. Yes, is that how bad that is?
Well, well, we said that too, that Triple H wasn't really going to be the one to do it.
I just don't want half of the dynamic dudes running the company.
It's going to get worse. It's going to get so much worse.
I honestly, if I find that out, I probably will stop watching WWE, because that is going to be the worst thing. I know Tony would love to work with some of the people that are in this company. I mean, you don't believe me? Look at the people that he has signed over the course of the last few months. Yeah.
That are former WWE guys, don't get me wrong, but they were used absolutely terribly. I mean, you got guys like Malachi Black. You got guys like Andrade. You got guys, Adam Cole, he let his contract expire so that he can get over here. John Moxley, same thing. He let his contract expire.
Yeah.
Adam Cole was not booked terribly, don't get me wrong on that, but he let his contract expire because he knew that if he went to the main roster, first of all, he would have been Keith Lee's manager. That's what they would have done with him. They would have shaved his head and made him a manager, which is not what he's supposed to be doing. He's a professional wrestler. But yeah, it's.
I definitely agree. I with Josh. I think that Tony would love to work with Triple H. I think. They definitely both have great minds for the business, and they see where the business is heading. And I definitely remember being a fan during both of their supposed, companies' wars, and, trying to watch both NXT and AEW together. It's definitely what the fans want. So I think that they would make a great partnership.
I feel like that was doomed from the start, though.
But I definitely agree. If John Laurinaitis becomes the head of the company, the guy who couldn't even sign the right one-legged wrestler, I don't want that guy running the company. You know what I mean?
That's going to get so much worse. Oh, my God. I just felt like that. I was like, everyone's like, oh, Triple H next up. But I'm like, Vince hates Triple H now because of the quote-unquote loss to AEW in the Wednesday Night War. So I'm like, Triple H is so far down that list of
That
next
was-
man kin. Like John Laurinaitis is the only guy who's like his right hand man because Bruce Pritchard isn't really like that much of a guy. But John Laurinaitis technically has a lot more experience because he was on TV during the whole CM Punk stuff and all that time. He damn near was the chairman during that time. So
Yeah.
all you gotta do is tag Johnny in, and then there we go.
Triple H was doomed from the start when that whole Wednesday Night Wars happened. I guarantee you right now, if we just did like some kind of candid interview with him right now on this podcast, and I asked him, all right, off camera, did you want WWE to go did you want NXT to go to Wednesday night to compete with AEW? I wouldn't say 100% guarantee, but I mean maybe 70 to 80% say that he would say no, that he would not have wanted it.
I don't think either.
Because he just didn't he was not focused on what AEW was doing. He wanted to use NXT as a platform for his guys.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just due from the start.
And this is where I feel like they have kind of lost their identity. I made a video about this very recently, but at the beginning, after it went through its whole game show phase and whatnot, and actually went on the network and became a developmental system, I thought it was great, and a lot of fans revere that as like one of the best years of like the company, with like NXT being like a platform for guys to like develop and whatnot. So I definitely feel like they kind of like got doomed from the start, especially like when they went to network TV, and then they all of a sudden were supposed to be developmental again and not a third brand like they started being,
But yeah, it's definitely going to be something to look at, that's for sure. But man, we almost talked for about 3 hours here. I think we're almost all kind of talked out. I want to thank you so much again, Anthony, for coming on here. This was very fun. If it wasn't for Bash, I mean, I probably wouldn't know that you exist, but you definitely have. In just this talk alone, I think we can all agree that you have something when it comes to just your mind of professional wrestling and all that. And I really do appreciate you coming on. We should definitely do this again. And I hope you had at least some little bit of a fun here, kind of a thing going on here. Because I mean, listen, this was kind of cool just to pick your brain on some wrestling topics heading into next year, which is 2022, and just almost it's a month and a half away, man. I mean, just think about what 2022 can bring from what 2021 already brought us. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I love talking wrestling, and I've been a wrestling fan for a really long time. It's about 14 years now. I feel super old saying that. But yeah, no, I've been a wrestling fan for a really long time. And, it was one of those things that I can remember being a wrestling fan as, growing up and being in high school and never really having anybody to talk wrestling with, growing up. And even, when I was growing a little bit older, I kind of like hid that from people because I didn't really want people to know. And it's been really cool to have people on, TikTok who have been able to like talk to me and, interact with me. And we've built up this huge community. Now we're up to like almost 1,300 followers, and it's just incredible. So yeah, no, it's been great talking with all of you guys about wrestling. You guys definitely know what you're talking about, and you guys have some, we all seem to have like the same similar opinions. So it's really cool.
Guys, have anything else to say before we get the heck out of here? I mean, you guys can follow all of us on TikTok. All of the links are down in the description. I really do recommend following Anthony because he's on the rise here in this TikTok wrestling community, and he does make some great stuff. the Hulk Hogan Y series is just enough for you to not subscribe to him alone, but just follow him alone. So that's just awesome. Anything else you guys have to say, plug, do whatever you have to do, my man.
No, not really. Anthony, it was a pleasure having you on the podcast, my guy. You know your stuff, man. You know your stuff. You amazed me tonight on the podcast, man, and I'm definitely gonna check some more of your stuff out. Also, guys, Nathan Coleman 6 on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much it for me. Let's get out of here so I can go to sleep. I'm tired.
Bum ass camera. I hate this laptop. I hate this laptop.
God damn it. There he is.
All
There's
right,
my boy.
listen, Anthony, thank you for being on the podcast. I love having these conversations with people. I absolutely love it. I talk with these beautiful people every day, but people coming into the podcast, I always get a little bit like in my head. I wonder how our style of running like the podcast will mesh with other people, because it's different
It
brains.
gets crazy sometimes.
Yeah, we've had some crazy occurrences here, and so it's how we've been doing this. But thank you for being here. You're amazing content, and love to have you on here again sometime. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for that. Yeah, y'all know what I do. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know me. I don't
He's
have-
off not famous. What do you mean?
We the ones, man. But
We the ones.
I'm extremely tired. I have a class in the morning, so I gotta go.
Yeah, everybody can rest up. Have a good day tomorrow. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. It's time for another episode of AEW Dynamite that Lobster's probably not gonna watch.
Jay Lethal time. Oh my god.
Yeah, Jay Lethal. We didn't even talk about Jay Lethal.
Oh god, dude, Jay Lethal versus Sammy Guevara, right?
It's gonna be fucking fantastic.
I want to rush home. Holy shit.
To be completely honest, though, final topic before we get the hell out of here, I kind of want that match to end in a time limit draw, because I do not want Sammy to lose, and I definitely do not want Jay Lethal to lose his first match. So time limit draw or bust for me.
That's
it.
how it is, yeah.
Because Jay Lethal should not deserve to lose his first match in AEW.
Yeah.
But that's it, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the podcast. If you guys tuned in for the 3 hours that we were here, congratulations, because we had a lot to talk about once we actually got the ball rolling. That's the thing. When we start these podcasts, it's kind of hard to like just get the ball rolling, but then once it does actually start rolling and everything, it just flows so seamlessly. So thank you so much again for coming on. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell to all notifications. That way you never miss an upload. If you guys have missed anything on the channel within the past week, go check it out. It's all there right on the homepage. Yeah, we'll talk to you guys tomorrow for AEW. And we hope to see you guys soon. And peace out. Have a good night. Off, do your thing.